Nice.
Ah, shit. Here we go again.
What is good, everybody? Welcome back to the Timeless Gamer Show, where our games and our bodies may grow out of date, but our gaming experiences will forever remain timeless. And the show is now live in YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. And for all of our old episodes, you can still check them out by going to the YouTube channel of the Timeless Gamer Show or by going to the website timelessgamers.show. And for all of your messages, inquiries, questions, whatever suggestions, send them all to timelessgamers.show@gmail.com. And previously on the Timeless Gamer Show, we talked about some different video game sports, right? Sports video games, right? And if you're curious on what our top picks for that episode, you know where to go, you know what to do. And for this night, for today's episode, it's going to be a part 2 of what we did a few years back, which is Gaming Mascots Part 2. All right? More of an extension, really. Whichever mascots that we didn't really give much attention back then, we're able to talk about them now. All right. And introducing the panel for tonight, we got Miss I.
Everyone, welcome to our podcast for tonight. As we talk about gaming mascots. Hope you enjoy our show and let us know your favorites on the comment section.
All righty. Thank you for that, Miss I. And we got Sir RV.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening. If you're listening live, thank you so much. Appreciate it. If you're listening to the podcast, thank you as well. Yes, we're talking about mascots for video games. Obviously, I'm talking about Earthworm Jim. So yeah, we'll get into that later. But yeah, thank you. So Joe, back to you.
All right. Thank you for that, Sir RV. Sir JD,
Yes, one Marcos of 123 Go Retro. Yeah, we will be talking about different gaming mascots that we know, some infamous, some we don't really recall, but just watch the show and we'll learn more about them as we go on.
All right. Thank you for that, Sir JDM. And of course, the man who brought the topic again to us, Sir Viraj.
Hey, this should be a very interesting episode. Talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of all these gaming mascots that were all popping up in the 90s that were pretty much trying to emulate what Mario did for Nintendo and what Sonic did for Sega. And we'll just be assessing and talking about them. Some are forgotten, some are fondly remembered, but let's see what our collective thoughts are as this episode progresses. So I hope you enjoy the show.
All right. Thank you for that, guys. So, might as well just start it off right now. Personally, I have not really given much paid attention to any of the gaming mascots back in the 90s, really, because I mean, you got Sonic and you got Sonic of Sega, Mario of obviously under Nintendo, and a lot more from Nintendo. Really, I mean, even back in the days that I could remember, there were a lot more mascots coming from Nintendo than Sega back in our parts of the world, anyway. And then when the 2D shifted to 3D, there were a lot more that came out, and I didn't really pay much attention to them because 3D animation was well, 3D gaming at the time was a little bit still a bit primitive for my taste. It was really confusing. It was really giving me a lot of headaches, very making me dizzy following all of the camera work, adding that Z dimension aside from the X and the Y because we were so used to the 2D scrolling left to right. That's all we knew, and then adding the Z dimension is a little bit more difficult processing the depth perception of all of it. So personally, me, I didn't really care playing much any of those like Crash or Spyro, but I knew some of them. So this particular topic to me would be like a crash course per se. For whatever I know, it's very superficial. So I'm basically the avatar representing all of you guys who don't know anything much about these mascots. Okay, but these people do. All right.
Okay.
So let's go to now Sir Viraj to lead the episode for tonight. Let's go.
Yeah, so this is an extension of this is what Sir Joe mentioned earlier. It's an extension of an episode that we did some years back now. I think it was with a different panel, but we're much better looking than those guys were. Apart from Sir Joe, of course, but we're a different panel now with different different thoughts, different game suggestions. But yeah, we're specifically going to hone on to mascots that were pretty much 1990s developed, like as I mentioned earlier, that were really to sort of jump on that bandwagon that Sonic the Hedgehog sort of jumped on, because Sonic, I think it all began with, I think what really was prolific is how Sonic the Hedgehog pretty much put Sega on the map for a lot of people, especially in the Western audience, since Nintendo just had such a stranglehold on home console gaming, especially in the North America region. And obviously you got Sonic. Sonic is basically a David and Goliath story with Sega taking on Nintendo. And Sonic was such a huge impact. There were so many other of these sort of anthropomorphic characters that were developed in time. So, I could start first, but I'm not going to. I'm going to begin with Miss I, because she's going to talk about her gaming mascot choice. So over to you, Miss I.
Thanks for that, Viraj. As you can see, my choice is behind Jazz Jackrabbit. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with this mascot or gaming icon. I wouldn't really say icon because not many know this game, I suppose, because this was released in 1994 for the MS-DOS, and this was a 2D platformer developed and produced by Epic Mega Games, the epic.com where we get our free games now. This was coded by Arjan and Bruce and designed by Cliff Bleszinski for Epic. If anybody knows, Cliff would later on be known for his work in the Unreal and Gears of War series. So this game, Jackrabbit, the first one at least, was inspired by the Amiga game called Zool, ZOL, which was marketed as a rival to Sonic, the Zool. In turn, Jazz Jackrabbit was considered Sonic's counterpart for the PC. It was one of the first games to introduce or bring the side-scrolling aspects of console gaming to the PC world. And even though it did not reach the same success as Sonic, it garnered enough audience through its fast-paced, advanced graphics, and acid jazz level soundtracks. So Jazz is kind of like Sonic, but with guns. And he is a space soldier fighting against Devon Shell. The basic premise of this game is it's sort of a science fiction parody of Ace of Fables, the tortoise and the hare. I suppose we're all familiar with that. When the tortoise was definitely the slower racer, and the hare just slept in the middle of the race because he thought he would win the race, but eventually the tortoise won. So that's basically the premise of Jazz Jackrabbit. The first game, as we see here, kind of looks like Green Hill Zone in some aspects. Not exactly, but it has the same vibe. It has 10 levels plus 2 bonus levels, and each level design can be a little complex and confusing because when I play this game, it's like you can go different directions Maybe it has arrows, maybe up, down, left, right, on where you should go next. But it's kind of convoluted, the map. You can go in any direction and end up in the end. I suppose as long as they give the the length of the level for the Jazz to go zoom, because he zooms like Sonic, but runs and um like that. I'm not sure if Sonic has pets. I haven't played Sonic because if you can see on the screen, there are birds there. So he also has companions. I'm not sure with Sonic. Sorry, I did not grow up with Sonic, so I'm not familiar. But Jazz Jackrabbit has help in this game. So this is Jazz Jackrabbit 1. There's actually a Jazz Jackrabbit 2 and a reboot on the Game Boy Advance. And also there's supposed to be a Jazz Jackrabbit on the PS1, if I remember correctly. Oh no, for the PlayStation 2. Yes, PlayStation 2 and PC. So the thing is, many players still remember Jazz Jackrabbit 1 and Jazz Jackrabbit 2, but unfortunately, apparently, Jazz Jackrabbit 2 didn't do well in sales. So when they tried planning for Jazz Jackrabbit 3, the producers of the second game, not the producer, the publishers of the second game refused to do any more Jazz Jackrabbit because of the low sales. That's quite unfortunate because there was an unreleased demo. I tried it the other day, and unfortunately for Windows 11, it's not working properly. I had to crash the game so a window prompt would allow me to play the game in safe mode. It actually looked how does it look like? Maybe a mix of it's 3D, 3D, the supposed Jazz Jackrabbit 3 game. It kind of was like a mix of Spyro and what do you call this? I'm blocking out. I forgot the name of the game. It's a common, Burudagan. You know that. I forgot the name.
Which one?
Crash Bandicoot. Sorry, brain.
There you go. Crash Bandicoot.
It was the third game is supposed to look like a mix of Crash Bandicoot and Spyro. So that's quite unfortunate we didn't get the third game. And unfortunately, with the Game Boy Advance reboot, it was kind of, a misdirection from the original, the vibes, the overall feeling of the game. It was like a baby fight version of the first and second games because this game is actually a little difficult. Sir RB was there when I was playing Jazz Jackrabbit 1 and I was cursing off screen because I kept dying. I read somewhere, I'm not sure if it's true for everyone, somebody said Jazz Jackrabbit is harder than Mario and Sonic in environment reactions to that. I'm not sure. So that is Jazz Jackrabbit. He is supposedly Sonic for the PC, but with guns.
Right, that's an interesting choice. I mean, the name Jazz Jackrabbit. For a minute though, I thought I've heard of this franchise before. I thought, is this not based on a cartoon? Because I looked at it and I thought, who's this Green Rabbit? Is it like? And then I got confused between him and Bucky O'Hara because he's a Green Rabbit as
Correct.
well.
Yeah, correct.
So I thought, this is very similar where they've gone with this because obviously it's like it was ripped off or something. And obviously he's got a blaster gun as well, so it's like kind of Bucky O'Hara-ish. So if they ripped him off, I don't know. Obviously,
Was my first impression as well. I thought this was Bucky.
Bucky O'Hara. Obviously, he wears a red suit, and this one's just like
I went into Miss I's stream yesterday, and I mentioned it was. I only remember him from the cartoons. Then I realized that I think I was having what do you call this? The Mandela effect. Then I remember. It's Bucky O'Hare that I remember.
Yeah.
But
I mean, look, there was a Bucky O'Hare game. That's something else. But no, this is something different. Obviously, it was an MS-DOS thing, so or PC game, and it's it was a PC game. And obviously, I remember the Game Boy Advance game what it was, and I thought, what is this? And then I think that's the last in the series, isn't it? The Game Boy Advance title, and I think that was like the end of the franchise. And I think why isn't this game relevant? And it's just a footnote in history. I think obviously there are so many games like this on PC. The market is saturated. So where does this game have a chance to stand out? Sadly, I think that's the sort of fatigue that this game had at the time. I think really it is a product of its time.
True.
And I think, if you grew up in the 1990s and you wanted a basic cheap MS-DOS platformer game that would do the trick, this is it. Although I would say that from just looking at the first game, it does seem quite complex. And I probably have to agree with you. This looks like a much more challenging game than your Super Mario Brothers or your Sonic the Hedgehog. Although it does look quite complex, to the point where I don't think it's something that's accessible to even youngsters. I think even kids would get stuck on this. Where to go? Even I would be cursing playing this game because it's all over the place. But that's the case with many MS-DOS games. That they were actually definitely more significantly more challenging than the console counterparts or the console games that came out. I've not played this game. I'm just aware of the Game Boy Advance game. I know that there was like a series before it, but I didn't know it was MS-DOS. I thought maybe it might have been on other platforms. It's nice to know that there was a PS2 one. Not that I ever saw it back in the day when I used to sell these sort of things, but this is an interesting choice. But it's a good choice, I guess, because it's so obscure. I don't think a lot of people know about this franchise, and it must have been good since it had a series, the first game for sure. But I think for me, if I was to go and play this now, it just wouldn't be accessible for me. And not that it's bad or anything, but I just find this to be a game that just, now that there's so many other franchises I'd rather play, would I even bother now? But if I like green bunny rabbit games, this is the one, I guess. If I want to play a game with a green bunny rabbit, that's what I can really say. What about you guys? What do you make of this title?
I was watching Miss I's stream while she was playing. It was really fun. I think what I liked was the first stage had a really nice, catchy music. I liked that. I just mentioned in the comment, one of my favorite parts was there's a hoverboard at some stage where it was just quite random. I was just watching, and then all of a sudden, Jazz Jackrabbit is like riding a hoverboard, which I found quite funny. Also, I like. At first, I wasn't too sure if I would like the color green for the rabbit, but it grew on me. I think I like the name as well, Jazz, and the game. When I was watching, it seems like it is pretty hard, but looked fun at the same time. And there's also like a mini game, I think, where if I remember, like you have to run on a road. Yeah, there it is. You have to run on a road.
3D section.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a Sonic bonus level, like pseudo 3D sort of thing to collect all the emeralds or collect all the earrings, and that's interesting. I guess I see where they've borrowed like those sort of tropes from that, like your Sonic game. You couldn't do this on Mega Drive, maybe on Super Nintendo because it had Mode 7, but I don't know. It's just like, the issue I have with this game is the colors that they've used. Like they're so off-putting, it's so muted, so off-putting. They just don't like the level design, the way it looks. I mean, this is ugly. Look at that, man. What are they're like?
Stoned. They look stoned.
It's like some 5-year-old drew that. I mean, what is this? Not much.
Character.
No art direction in this game, is there really? I mean, what possessed you to choose this one? I mean, it's ugly, to be honest, as a game. I'm sorry to say. I mean, there's all these mascot platforms where you choose this, Miss I.
This is
I like it.
I mean, I suppose there's the whole run and gun aspect of being able to shoot all them bullets and through the level. I guess there's the challenge of it, but I don't know. I feel a bit dizzy with the way he moves.
This is a run and gun game because you have the red bandana. Whenever there's a red bandana, like in Rambo, right? Rambo Contra.
Yeah, I suppose
always the red bandana. Because it somehow symbolizes courage or something like that.
All right. Just a little bit of a backstory here. when we originally came out trying to come up with an episode for this week, the working title initially was the 90s gaming mascots, the winners and the losers, which basically giving emphasis to the one who to the mascots that were popular and the lesser or the unknown ones. So obviously we had to look for the lesser known ones. That's why Miss I chose Jazz the Jazz.
You didn't
And
have to. You could have
then-
picked a few winners here, but okay, this is
So,
mean,
that's what we came up with. Okay,
I
so
would
we
say
chose the lesser known ones.
I wouldn't say that this is a lose. I mean, look, there were 3-4 games in the franchise. You had the number 2, you had the number 3 on PlayStation 2, and you had the Game Boy Advance one. So there were 4 in the franchise. But God, this
We are
is
just giving emphasis to the lesser known ones. Okay.
I'm surprised because I mean, this even got a sequel. I mean, look at the colors, man. That red is ghastly. You know, like that red platform. This is hurting my eyes. I'm surprised you could play this, man. This is just so ugly, man.
Do you like the green for the rabbit?
It just looks really muffled. Like the sprite isn't very clear. It's just, you know.
I don't have any. Okay, so the green could have they could have chosen another color aside from green. To be honest, character sprite is okay. Maybe obviously they cannot use gray.
I understand why they went green. Because
mean-
if Mario
mean-
is red, Sonic is blue. Someone's got to be green.
They could have. I mean, they could have chose like maybe a little bit shade of white. I guess maybe a dirty white kind of color, but not totally like puke green or anything like that. Sprite is okay. Although I have, and if there's any issue that I will take, it's the artwork, the box artwork. And you're right, Miss I is right. He looks stoned most. He's high. Okay, he looks so stoned, which is weird because he's moving way too fast. If you're really that stoned, you shouldn't be moving that fast.
Oh, he's a
But then again,
thief.
I think
That's the
Unless he's on
Right.
cocaine.
There's a
Unless he's
hoverboard.
oh, the hoverboard there.
like he's on speed all the time, but he's very stoned like this.
I mean, he's a jackrabbit. He's going fast.
He's high. I mean, he doesn't look like that in his. He doesn't look like that in his character video sprite though. But in the artwork, oh yeah, he is. To those people who want to play this, either you can do it. I don't know, like DOS box or an emulator, sure. But I think there's online jazz that you can do. Just Google search online jazz, and there's a readily available playable version of this. Okay, you don't need any emulators, don't need any DOS box or whatever. Just type in online jazz, and it's just there.
It's in GOG.
I mean, what's the music?
But what's
like
that,
in this
Jim?
game? What's the music saying in this game? Because obviously we can't hear it for obvious reasons. I mean, was it any good or was it just really crap?
I like the first level. The first level, they had really catchy music. I think the one we're
Oh.
looking now is the second level.
Yeah.
Is that right, Miss? I think it's the second level, or one. It's one of the past levels. But yeah, for the music wasn't too bad. It was
They paid a lot more attention to the music in here, and to my knowledge, they did won an award back in 1994 for sound design in this one.
Oh, okay, that's good. Interesting.
And I
If
saw
there's
Miss
any
Ice
accolade that this game will show is the music. What was that again, sorry, JDM? What was that?
when I saw Miss Ice streaming this, I did not hear any music because I was watching from a snack bar. So the ambience was so loud, I wasn't able to really hear the music because I was watching on my phone and I was eating and I just saw the visuals. So I didn't really catch the music in here. Maybe after this show, I'm going to try to hear the audio part of this game. And
Yeah, all right, okay.
Actually, I was watching Miss Ice stream as well, and all I could hear was the music because I had her on the background while I was doing my notes.
I
I
wasn't
was at work during the time.
what Sir RB was saying about the curse words and whatnot. Maybe I'll try to.
She couldn't swear. All right. I mean, she could swear if she turned on her camera, but no. It was a silent stream.
Well, look, besides, it's been over 25 years since the last game in this franchise. I mean, I have to ask you the question: do you think this game deserves another chance, or do you think they should just leave it alone and that's it? That's the question.
I wish they proceeded with the third game at least.
The third game.
Yes, the 3D one that was looking like a mix of Spyro and Crash Bandicoot.
You'd rather than make it 2D like this. So you'd rather than make a proper 2D like game is the third game. Okay, fair enough. I mean, they did do on the Game Boy Advance, but you're saying that's not. It's a different gameplay style to what you see with the first two.
Very different.
A question to Miss I: Do you want the same character spread, or do you want him to have a glow up, or maybe redesign him a little bit for the kids nowadays?
Maybe a glow up, but not a redesign, because the redesign they did in the Game Boy Advance was crap.
Yeah, that was a bad game. I don't know what, because I heard that's when I first heard of this franchise, the GBA, obviously, because that's my format. So I'm like, okay, you know what? It goes for a lot of money, because I saw someone trying to sell it for like some silly money at a gaming market box in complete, like £200 or something. I said no. It's like, for this, nah, I'll pass. Thank you. But all right, so that's Jazz Jackrabbit. Thanks for your contribution, Miss I really appreciate it. It's an interesting one, obscure.
By the way, I want to add something. Sorry. This was the MS-DOS era. I just wanted to share that this was released, at least the first episode, because there are 10 episodes here, as a shareware. And the other episodes, you had to either mail your payment to Epic Games and get the rest of the episodes. Just wanted to share some retro gaming, vibes on how games were back then. Because DLC now, you just enter your credit card, download the thing. But back then, you had to mail in your payment and wait for the diskette. Oh my god!
Pay first, okay? You need to pay up first.
Yeah.
Yes. So the era of shareware and additional episodes.
I mean, this is my. I mean,
there's no COD or
no cash on delivery. No.
I mean, another thing I want to add here is this came out in 1994. So I'm thinking, it just baffles me. Like, like there were so many other games of that era that just looked better than this on consoles, and this was on PC or DOS. So I'm just a bit bemused by the whole aspect of what this game is, and the fact that this was released in different episodes. So yes, you're right. I've looked into it. There were different episodes that you would buy, and you'd get. But I'm surprised that people went along with that, and that this was still a thing on PC. But I guess
you know what? I think that's the main reason why Sega didn't sue. Because first of all, it's on PC. Second of all, it's episodic. It's not like a full game that you can buy. Because,
I don't think Sega would sue, because it's obviously a totally different IP, different gameplay style or whatever. So, this could have easily been ported on Mega Drive or SNES though, but I don't know if it would have been a success.
They could have, but then again, if they did,
it would fail miserably. I don't know. But making a game on PC is easier. Obviously, for floppy disk, it keeps the manufacturer. For them, obviously, making it on a cartridge would have cost them a lot more to publish. And look at what the competition was at the time, and we've got to cover that as we move on from this game as to what the competition was. So that perfectly marries into the next point. So let's move on from this and let's bring this back and let's move to the next game. I'd like to actually, I think it's appropriate to talk to RV because he's actually the next one. So this game came out, I think it was the same year that this one did. So I'll leave it to RV to discuss his game of choice. There you go.
Thank you, Severaj. Yes. So before I start talking about my selection, I want to talk about the creator of Earthworm Jim, David Perry, an Irish video game developer and programmer. He became prominent for programming platform video games for the 16-bit home consoles in the early to mid 90s, including Disney's Aladdin, Cool Spot, and of course, the Earthworm Jim series. In 1993, David founded Shiny Entertainment, his own independent video game development company, after securing financing from Playmate Toys, a prominent Hong Kong-based toy manufacturer, best known for producing popular action figures and toys such as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or if you're in England, Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles. His studio began developing an original property based on the Earthworm, who finds himself in control of a power suit, awarding him with superpowers. What would later become the Mega Drive action platformer game known as Earthworm Jim. Basically, this toy manufacturing company funded David's company with the goal of producing a high-quality video game that could be turned into a profitable toy franchise. So like a win-win for everyone. Spoiler alert, Earthworm Jim became Shiny's most recognizable game, and its popularity provided momentum for a sequel, Earthworm Jim 2, and yes, an action figure, and even an animated TV show in 1995. The original game, Earthworm Jim, was released in 1994 for the Sega Genesis, and it is a 2D run and gun platformer. I actually played about 3 or 4 hours of the game to get a feel of the character. And when you load up the game, you can see there it's just now he does these poses and then his pants fall down. So I found that kind of funny. It's nice when games are not afraid to kind of poke fun at the hero, you know. So the levels are challenging with varied mechanics. Jim has a gun to shoot enemies, as you can see there if you're watching the live stream. And you kind of learn that he can also hilariously whip his opponents using his own wormy head. As you play through, you kind of learn that he can also whip. This whip mechanic can also be used to grab hold and swing from time to time. Levels ranges from jungles to space races. Overall, the game is great. One of the best games for the Sega Genesis, in my opinion. Fun fact, its 1995 cartoon, which ran for 2 seasons, features Dan Castellaneta, I think that's how you said it, as the voice of Jim. For those unfamiliar with that name, he also voices Homer Simpson in The Simpsons. Yeah, that's it. He also does many other characters. He does like Krusty the Clown, Groundskeeper Willie, Mayor Quimby, and like a whole lot more. Also, there was some controversy surrounding the promotion of this game. Basically, there was a TV commercial showing an old lady eating worms, plastic worms, of course, while talking about the game. There were complaints from viewers, and the advertisement was instantly pulled. Personally, I love Earthworm Jim. I love the character design. I love the name Jim. It's in my top 5 of people named Jim. So yeah, there you go. There's my Earthworm Jim kind of review. What do you guys think? Do you like Earthworm Jim?
I had this game. I had this game on Mega Drive back in 1994. It's definitely one that stood out because I think, as we mentioned, there were many of these sort of platformer wannabe sort of mascot games that were out there, and I had a friend called Kieran, and he had this thing called Bubsy Bobcat. And that was his sort of game. And he got so jealous when I got this game because, like, Bubsy Bobcat is crap. I don't care what anyone has to say. I'm surprised it continued. It just plays really badly. I thought he had an attitude as well, and they're obviously going for these sort of quirky tropes that had these cartoony tropes. But what makes Earthworm Jim truly special is the character animation. You know, the way he moves, the level design. I mean, if you look at this level is called "What the Heck," and you got a nice background there. Look how clear and look how detailed that level looks. Look at that crystal. It actually looks like it's like literally there. That emerald that he's using. So, and it was the randomness of every stage and how it made fun of itself. It's a game that doesn't take itself seriously, but just because it looks silly doesn't mean it's an easy game by any means. It is a challenging game, and it's a very well balanced game for sure. And obviously, it spawned the sequel, which is Earthworm Jim 2, which is a much easier game in my view. A much easier game to get through and complete. Tommy Tallarico did the soundtrack, outstanding soundtrack. He did a great job with it. There are many ports of this as well. Obviously, there was a Super Nintendo port, which is one I'd recommend you guys stay away from because the Mega Drive is the way to play it. But there's also the special edition on Sega CD that came out the year after. And that has an expanded first level, and there's actually a hidden level that wasn't in there that's put in the Sega CD one, and the levels are expanded, so it's a bigger and more challenging game. You have more animations, a much more enhanced CD soundtrack, and that Sega CD special edition is what was ported onto the PlayStation and Sega Saturn, which was the better version of this game at the time. And obviously, there's been like many re-releases of this first game. Earthworm Jim HD, I think, is the most recent one that was released for PC, which is the best, like sort of the definitive version for PC, I believe, that was released for and other platforms at the time. but the original will always be something really special to me, because it's, as you said, it's one of the best Mega Drive games. I mean, it was included on the Mega Drive Mini in 2019 as part of the roster. That's another way to play it on the Mini itself. It came with it, and its sequel is actually included on the Mini too. So that says something. Yeah, definitely a great game and a great platformer, action platformer that has many. It's not just a platform. There are other levels in there as well. Like you got this one where you got the bonus stages where he's flying into the distance. You've got a top-down level in the sequel. You got like this bungee jumping level where he has to attack slot. I think one of the things that made this game special as well is all the other characters, all the villains, and the cartoon. Because I used to watch the cartoon as well when I was a kid. The villains and the characters were so interesting. Like Professor Monkey Forehead. I mean, how ridiculous is that? Evil the cat. He's ridiculous. And Psychro. All these characters were so funny, and they were so real because they had voice characters, and they were so. It was just something really charming about it. So the cartoon added substance to the backstories of the characters, and I always found that interesting. Obviously, there was an Earthworm Jim 3D on Nintendo 64, but we don't like talking about that because that really did kill the franchise. Because it was just not a well-received 3D game. When games like this went 3D, not all of them worked. Earthworm Jim sadly didn't work in 3D because it wasn't done as well as it could have done. I think it can work in 3D. It just wasn't done. It wasn't executed that well. But yeah, Earthworm Jim, I would say, is a good choice as a forgotten. I was going to say forgotten. Everyone remembers this game quite fondly. It's just we'd like to see more games in this franchise like this, really. And they were trying to do one on the Amico console. In fact, there were some screenshots you can still look online of the game that was in development before the Amico had sort of flopped and failed. Tommy Tallarico recently made a post about how it's still sort of in development, but I don't see anything happening. But this was meant to be like a release that was going to happen on the Amico. But yeah, I absolutely love this game. Really good choice. I'd say it's a good game. It's not a bad game. It has some ugly aspects of the game, but sadly I don't see it going forward because obviously, again, like we live in. If you're going to make, I think it's one of those games that they should have come up with a third game or a fourth game. They should have kept going with the franchise instead of leaving it a few years and gone with 3D. And I think that's why it's not relevant more. There's also a Game Boy Color game that they made as well, and they ported Earthworm Jim 1 and 2 on the Game Boy Advance. But those ports you want to stay away from because they play so badly. Whoever did those ports should be, should be sectioned under the mental health thinking that it was okay to release it. They're really bad. But yeah, the Mega Drive one is definitely the way. Love it. So what about yourself, Jaden? What do you think? What do you think of this?
Me, I haven't really played Earthworm Jim, but what I remember was I was watching this video game show called Cybernet in the 90s. And I saw this. It was a preview. Then I thought it looked cool. It's a run and gun game, but it has a wacky character because I was more attuned to the much more serious run and gun games like Contra. And when I saw this, it looks cool because it's wacky. The environment was colorful, although and I also remember the TV show of the 90s. One specific episode is that he lost his power, and he was trying to he lost his power because he forgot this saying about as strong as something. He forgot the word horse for that phrase, as strong as a horse. He forgot about it, and I don't know what happened. He suddenly lost his power, so they went to like in Athens where they were there was a gate in Athens. Then there was a sentinel who was um he was like a tall guy. I mean, a guy who collects tolls. Then all of a sudden there was his partner who gave him like $20. Then suddenly okay, you can come in.
Okay.
Then the story goes on. It was quite a weird episode because he suddenly remembered that he has this the word was the horse. Then all of a sudden he became powerful again, and I forgot most of the
I'm starting to remember now the history of how he got that suit. So the suit fell, but who was it? Professor Monkey Forehead developed that suit for Queen Slug for a bar. That's the story, and he managed to get it. And obviously they're all trying to get the suit back. That's basically it. And obviously Earthworm Jim's in love with Princess What's her name, who is the Queen's younger sister. Interesting story because it's just a bit all over the place, but yeah, that's Sergeant Lucas. It's not a problem level. So yeah, every character has its own personality, his own quirk about his game. But yeah, all right. What about
someone who likes who likes playing this game? It's going to be Direct Retro Gaming Times. He always played this because he's an platforming guy from the 90s. I saw him several times playing this. I think he finished it twice in his streams.
Yeah, I think this is a game that you can never. I think this is a game for everyone. To be honest, you can never get bored of it. It has its own challenges. I know you mentioned it was a run and gun. Well, it's more of an action platform because even though he has a gun, look at this level. This is a different type of level altogether, and you saw that a different. The game has different gameplay tropes in it as well. So, it's definitely worth checking out because it offers something different. It keeps it light in that regard. You're not doing the same old thing. You're what's interesting is, this is a different kind of level. Oh, this is interesting. And I think that's what makes it really a very well-made game for what it is. What do you think, Miss Guy? What's your thoughts on this game and this mascot character?
I may have played this game when I was a kid. I'm not sure where. Maybe Super Nintendo or even an emulator. But I realize what you mean now by my choice earlier with the graphics because this looks, very vibrant and appealing to the eyes. And I like how the sprites aren't, monotonous with one design, just blinking or something. They're really animated here. They really spend time in making different animations. It's not just, one expression changed to another. In terms of animation, because there's what we call in-betweening. So it's not just a quick image change. So you can see the transition, like how he stretches, his head or his body, and the twisting of the enemy isn't like one picture of a whirlwind. You can see it moving. I like how they are, there's a variety with the expressions and the design. It's not boring.
This is definitely a AAA game. I mean, you think that this and Jazz Jackrabbit came out the same year as well. I think if you're not going to stand out, if you're not going to this set a standard. The Earthworm Jim, what else came out in '94? Donkey Kong Country. These were games that set a standard in how they looked and how they felt and how they played. And if you're not at this standard, you're dead in the industry. You can't compete. And this was dog eat dog. This is like the heat of the console here, and everybody wanted a piece of that cash. And you had to make the effort because you're up against stuff like this. If the game wasn't up to scratch, you're just not going to make the money, and you're not going to continue your franchise. The bad thing about this game is it made the cash. It was successful. It had a sequel. Then they waited, and then on Nintendo 64, they made this haphazard game, which is Earthworm Jim 3D, and there was this lukewarm received Game Boy Color game. And is the franchise bankable? Like, they had to bring out another hit, and they waited years and years, and before we know it, it's gone. And that's it. Would we like to see another Earthworm Jim game? I would, but it'd have to be of the same quality of what we had before. And you have low expectations as to what the franchise is. And I think this is a classic example of a franchise that began great with the first two, boom, boom, and then it just slid down. And because they couldn't make any more games, that's it. It was death to the franchise. And sadly, I don't see any more Earthworm Jim games coming out. I would have loved for the Amiga to come out just to see what that Earthworm Jim game was, because I love the IP. I'm in love with it, to be honest. But it's a shame that we're just not going to see a game of this kind again, because this was just ridiculous. The amount of effort you see the animation, the art design, the way it looks, the music was actually for those who did it. But yeah, definitely the game of its time, and it showed that like the best that they really had to offer there. That's my sort of closing thoughts about Jim, and the sad that you're never going to see anything like it again. But don't be sad that you don't get any sequel. Be happy that it happened. That's what I have to say. Yeah.
Just a shout out, Sir One. He says N64 Earthworm Jim was one of my favorite of all.
Yeah.
And also, Boden Roika says, reminds me of the aliens from Space Jam.
Yeah, I get that. There's always it was that era, isn't it? Space Jam came out in this era as well, so I get that too. What about you, Sir Joe? Any closing thoughts on Earthworm Jim?
I think the only people, the kids who favored more the Just Jackrabbit were those kids who had PC at home. Their parents had PC at home, and they didn't bother to get the consoles because
I think it's an affordable solution. Yeah, DOS is cheaper if you look at it. If you've got a PC already, and you can get like a platformer that's like sort of cheap, yeah, of course you're gonna play Just Jackrabbit, right? It's all about the scale of economics, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. Like, let's be honest, video games in the 90s were probably just as much as expensive, well, more expensive then than they are now. So it would cost a lot for people to buy this sort of stuff. How much was this? £60 when it came out in the UK back in 1994? That's a lot of money. That's how much games. Like, people can play about $60 games now. Think of that in the 90s when minimum wage wasn't even a thing. So, you know, if you have parents on low income, for them to get you this, that was a huge achievement. And something like Jackrabbit would have cost a fraction of that, obviously, because of the fact that it was a DOS. And you can always copy that floppy. So, but yeah, going on. So I was asking Sir Joe, what are your closing comments?
Right. Question to Sir RV, first of all. Sir RV, so since you're since you played this game, how exactly is Earthworm Jim move? Like, obviously he's a worm, but he has that suit. So how exactly does he move with that suit on?
So the suit gives him powers.
Like movement wise, like how the hell does he move it like that?
I don't think it's explained in the game. They just kind of assume that. Actually, in the game, you can kind of there are levels where he jumps out of the suit, and you can see him just as a worm.
That's the thing. He does come out of the suit, and he's a worm. I'm like, and I thought, is this a worm like with actual appendages, like arms and legs? No, he's actually a worm inside that super suit. And I'm like, how exactly is he moving that suit? Anyway, maybe it's
in the cartoon, it's sort of seen that like the suit like has this sort of.
Did they explain that?
Yeah, in the suit, basically it knows what it is. So Jim sits in there and calls into the leverage system, and it obviously knows it's from its mind. Like that becomes its limbs. And
does it move it with its tail?
All right. But when he's inside the suit, he grows like an arm, and he grows some limbs,
both arms and legs. What? So he fills those out. Because he's long enough. Right. Okay.
The long worm, you could say he's Earthworm Snake. If you actually look at the size of this thing, him as a worm, you think that's a big Earthworm.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he's long enough to form a left arm, a left leg, and then a right leg, and then a right arm, and then it all calls back to his neck.
Reminds me of Krang from
TMNT. Yeah.
But that's different because he has arms that can move the levers.
Back in the early 90s when this came out, I do remember this rental store or rental house per se. And they have this Earthworm Jim cartridge that they were renting out along with the Mega Drive. And I saw that and I'm like, ooh, Earthworm Jim. So I mean, first impression wise, I said I'm not gonna play this game. I mean, looking at the cover, it says Earthworm Jim, and me being the kid of the '90s, I was a little bit disgusted with the idea about controlling a earthworm. Okay, so I chose Bare Knuckle and Streets of Rage. I chose Golden Axe instead. And then when some of the kids were playing Earthworm Jim for the first time, I was impressed on how it looked. Very cartoony, like it's like a Ren and Stimpy kind of kind of cell animation in a way, right? And like Miss I mentioned, they really did pay attention on giving a little bit more framework, a little bit more frames of animation in this in betweening, as she mentioned. So, um, and I could understand why it had a like its own cartoon. I mean, looking at the gameplay, kind of looks like a cartoon in itself, right? Um, I know Earthworm Jim through name recognition and brand recognition alone, but I have not, till this day, have yet to play this game. Okay, but if you're gonna ask me if you're gonna show me an illustration of Earthworm Jim, I can identify who Earthworm Jim right off the bat, no questions asked. But gameplay wise, I still have yet to play this. But I know who he is. I can identify. At least I can identify him. I can recognize him.
Well,
I
it's on your Mega Drive Mini, so give it a go.
It is, but again, platforming game.
Oh, fair enough. It's not for you, I get. Well, I don't know. Like, just give it a try at least. It's worth. You know what? Even if you're not into platformers, this is one that you should definitely play before you die. I'll say that much because it really is that good. You know, it's definitely worth checking out. And because it's just such a colorful, fun experience, you know, even for someone like yourself.
Look at the gameplay. Oh, see, he's moving, and the suit is also moving. But
anyway, shall we move
So
on to the
Richard says PC games are easier to make due to standardized format, plus can be recopied as needed. And shout out to
back then it was, yeah. Now we don't have obviously it's all downloads now, isn't it? But obviously back then with floppy disks and compact disks, yeah. You can definitely do that. So is it?
Okay.
So look,
a shout out. A quick shout out first. A Burner Roy guy right there on Twitch. So he's also talking with Sir RV. Okay. Just so you know, Burner Roy guy, Sir Gummy. Sir RV is actually living in West Australia. Okay. He can understand some Tagalog words, Filipino words, but not a whole lot. That's why he keeps chatting with you in English.
In Bisaya, maybe. Yes. Know some Bisaya words.
I mean, he knows a few. He knows a few words, but mostly, yeah. He's
So
gonna
Viraj,
be chatting with you in English, okay?
So one says, I don't always agree with Viraj, but I agree. A game to play before you die is Earthworm Jim.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a standout for its time. But anyway, let's move on to the next game in this wonderful little chat we're having about video game mascots of the 1990s. Right, so let's talk about your game, so JDM. What you got to talk about?
I thought you're going to call me Danny Trejo. But anyway.
Danny Trejo. Timu Danny Trejo.
I can't do the accent. So for me, I got two. But I'm talk about Croc.
Let's do it.
This anthropomorphic crocodile, because his history, the development history is quite interesting than Gex. So Croc is an anthropomorphic crocodile designed by Argonaut Software. We know that company who made Star Fox.
With Nintendo, they did the Super FX chip
Yes.
with Nintendo, and they made the Star Fox.
And they had this like a collaboration with Nintendo, and supposedly this that collaboration was supposed to be a Yoshi racing game, but Nintendo asked them to find another publisher who would publish this game, and it was Fox Interactive um, who picked up this game with Argonauts, and it was called Croc Legend of the Go Boss. So this game was um, it was released in 1997, and I think 98 in some parts of the world. And I played this around 1998. It's a very cutesy game. Croc is a very uh, cute character. This was supposed to be Yoshi, so it's also a reptile. They didn't go for another character design, so this was supposed to be Yoshi, and it was going to be a racing game, but they decided to go with a platformer to maybe go head to head with Mario 64, but that was the most popular 3D platformer, because Mario, who's going to top Mario, but no one. And this game, Croc was a character who was introduced in a game as a baby who went into the land of Gobos. The one you see behind, there's the king of the Gobos. They adopted him. They didn't know where he came from. Just like Moses, they found him in a basket in the river, and he adopted him. He adopted Croc, taught him to walk, crawl, and fight. Then all of a sudden, he grew up. At first, he was this midget crocodile. Then all of a sudden, like in a blink of an eye, he became bigger. Much to the amusement of the king. And all of a sudden, there was this villain. I forgot his name, who ravaged their village and started kidnapping these creatures called the Gobos, and it was up to him to save these townsfolk from, including the king. And as you can see on this game, it's a typical 3D platformer, which looks kind of like Mario 64, but I guess one of the flaws in this game was the camera work and the tank controls. And I know Sir Joe wouldn't even touch this with a 10-foot pole because of the tank controls. But here's the thing: it's only tank.
What?
It's only
What?
a tank control if you're not using the analog controls, because they already introduce the analog controls for this game.
Hell
So
no.
if you're if you're using the D-pad,
A hard pass. Still,
yes,
no.
that's surprising.
Tank controls on a platformer? On a
Yes.
3D platformer?
If you're using if you're
Yes, I
using
know.
the D-pad, yes, it's going to be.
I think you raise a very you raise a very interesting point here, and it's very important. I think where Mario 64 gets a lot of, like, this is the thing, it had an analog stick to play Mario 64. The problem with Sega Saturn and PlayStation, which this game was for, is that the first controllers that came with that system was a digital they had digital D-pads. They didn't have analog sticks. You'd actually have to buy that controller or that style of controller for analog compatible games like this. And most people, my parents would buy their games this kid for Christmas, yet they'd have that original digital D-pad, and then they'd find it really hard to play a game like this because an analog controller. So those of you listening, just so you know, if you obviously got the analog sticks on your modern controllers, and the benefit of an analog controller in this interesting period of the fifth generation was that you could, so JDM, you can actually like vary how fast the character goes. If you want to run in that direction faster, you have that analog, and it puts that much force into it. Whereas if you're just using a normal D-pad, it'll just go into one speed in that direction, and you don't have any control, because you might not want him to run and jump over that platform because you might overshoot the platform. You don't have that precision. Whereas for a game such as this, JDM is quite right. Analog is essentially required, and it enhances your gameplay experience phenomenally because it's designed with that control mechanism in mind. Sadly, the PlayStation and Sega Saturn did not come included with analog controllers from day one. You'd have to buy them separate, or there was a package that we bought later on. And the user, the kid, would not be aware of this. The parents for the kids wouldn't be aware of this. And then they buy this game and they think, oh, it's a crap game. But they don't really look at thinking maybe an analog controller might be better. We know years later that this is the problem. But yeah, sorry, please continue, JDM, with your discussion.
Yeah, so this is one of the first PlayStation games that had the analog controls, and since they don't have the first release of the PlayStation, it's only the D-pad. Then it took how many years? Like 2 years before they released the D-pad for. So if you have the analog controls, so the left analog controls croc, you can turn left and right. So it's a 3D control. So the right analog is for the camera. And since this is the first time the players were able to utilize the analog controls for the right analog, because the N64 didn't have the right analog, only
it had the C stick for the cameras. It had the C button for the cameras for Nintendo 64.
But it's a button, right?
Yeah, so there were buttons, but there were 4 buttons that could let you play around with the camera. So they still had an option. Whereas obviously with PlayStation, obviously the analog sticks, the fact there were 2 of them, allowed better configuration, one for the camera and one for controlling your character in that 3D environment. So yes, please continue.
And the beauty for the right analog controller is it's analog. Unlike for the C buttons, it's digital. So you need to like press the button, C button lightly to move left, right, up or down. But I guess this is also one of the flaws that made this game not very popular with kids, because it's for the graphics, it looks cutesy, but the controls, they didn't really they were not really accustomed to using the right analog controls, unless it's for the gamers who use a joystick for their flight simulator games, like the more mature players. And yeah, and also unlike Gex, this game had more the Croc series had more games in the series. It has a sequel, Croc 2, and it also have a Croc game, but there's a difference in gameplay for the Game Boy Color. And yeah, Gex only had 3 games in its entirety. And also there was a remaster for the Croc series, the Croc Legends of the Gobos and Croc 2, and it was digitally remastered. Like the graphics are now in HD. If you could look the background here, if you look at the eyes, it has the polygons, right? You have the polygons for a PS2, PS1 game, like in Final Fantasy and all of those early 3D PlayStation games. And for the HD remaster, they now have the rounded eyes and also the rounded edges for Croc's avatar, and they still have the like that single tooth that was coming up of his mouth, which was like an homage for the developer's pet who has the same like tooth that was coming out of its mouth. And
So basically, it's like what they did with Spyro Reignited Trilogy. You know, they've actually given it a facelift, and they've done the same with Crash Bandicoot. They've obviously given a re-release of the PlayStation classics, and they've given it a paint job basically. And they did the same with this particular game as well, giving it a paint job and much more. So it makes it much more accessible. Because I mean, look, there's a good game in this, even though it has issues with how you would control it. You need analog. If you didn't know then, you need analog now. There's a good game in there, and it was worthy of a re-release. I think a lot of young people grew up with this game. Like, in the same way, Mario 64 was like the game they had. Obviously, there's Crash Bandicoot, and obviously, this is another cutesy platformer for PlayStation that I think a lot of kids had back in the day. I knew a couple of kids who had this game I went to school with, and so they have very fond memories of this. I never had it, but I did play it, and I can understand the appeal that it had. I was actually quite envious of people who had this, because compared to my Bubsy 3D, this looks so much better. It played even better. And it's really interesting how, you know, the first sort of 3D PlayStation platforms are terrible, and this was a pre-analog game, whereas this is light years ahead, and it's on the same format in terms of the way it looks and the way it played. So I can appreciate it for the game that it is. I think it's a very pretty game for its time, and I still think it holds up today, even on the old graphics systems that we had. So that's my thought. I mean, you mentioned the series went on. There was obviously Crack 2. There was a Game Boy Color game. There were a series of mobile games which nobody remembers. And obviously, you know, I think the series. I think the problem with the series was, and if you played the second game, it was a step down, a big step down from the first game in terms of gameplay and quality. I think they rushed it out, and this goes back to the point I made about Earthworm Jim. And I know somebody in the comment section liked Earthworm Jim 3D, but it was regarded as a poor game compared to the original two. And the problem is, when you make a really good game or a game that stands out, and you think, okay, we can franchise, we can make a series. Great, but you have to maintain the quality levels that made the original so much fun before you play. And they didn't do that. And again, because they didn't make the money, because there wasn't much of a drive to make like a third 3D game, or when the sixth generation came. Because really, we should have seen this game continue on the PlayStation 2. It would have done well on the PlayStation 2, but they didn't bother because, you know, the PlayStation 1 second game sequel just didn't do as well. And it's really as black and white as that. You know, I'm sorry to say it, you know, the second game just played really bad. And it wasn't that much of a step up from the first. So, yeah, it was a mediocre game at best, sadly. In a world where, you know, you have other 3D platformers like Spyro the Dragon, which is what I'll obviously talk about when I get to my point. But no, so it's a very interesting choice here. One thing I never got to ask you about is what do you think of the music of this game?
There's a different variety of you know how platform games have they have very appropriate music, right? Depending on what's happening in the game.
Yeah, so you got like something cheapy, like chirpy in a green section when you're in the green field level, or say in a volcano level, you've got more tense music. So I guess it basically mirrors the environment that's in there. But the question is the music something that you can probably listen to away from the game, or is it just something that you could only listen to or you'd only enjoy when playing the game? Is it for easy listening? That's the question I'm asking you.
And I haven't really played this game very recently. The only time I played this game was back when it was released, and I didn't really pay attention to the music, but I know if I'm not really interested with
Because you
music
paid attention more to the tank controls more than anything else.
Fair enough. Let's move on.
I need to finish that last level. That final boss is really hard. It took me like a few days before I figure out the real final boss.
But I mean, this is a game, and just so you remember, this is a game for children, so you should be able to beat it. You know, keep at it. You know, I'm sure you'll be all right. All right, so that's just my thoughts on Croc as well. What about you guys on the board? Miss I, what are your thoughts on this particular game from looking at it?
first impression is like Sir JDM said. I think the game is cute. Croc is standing on 2 feet and with his backpack and walking like that. You know, I actually have this game on my wish list on GOG. It's quite expensive actually, $30 for this remaster. But I saw the what Sir JDM said with the reduced no not reduced, maybe refined looking polygons. Yeah, the remaster really looks good. If it goes on sale further, the price goes further down, I'll reconsider buying it because it's been sitting on my wish list for so long. I actually want to try this one, and it's cute, jumping in the stock.
It is a cute game. It is a cute game, and it does look good. I mean, I like the level design. I like the way the colors look. I mean, if
Yes.
you want to agree, I mean, forget Jazz Jackrabbit. This is the green character you should be playing. Right?
Yes. Yes.
Actual green
Or
green
Vex.
character.
And that's the best thing about it.
Makes a lot more sense him being green. I mean, it isn't easy being green.
Miss I
All
think
right.
Bruno Roika says this game is on sale. Maybe on Steam, perhaps. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
But yeah, I agree with what
It's on
Miss I said. It's a very
GOG.
cute game. I've never played, but I want to try just by looking at it.
Yeah.
Looking at it. So yeah, definitely on my list to try as well.
it,
And
it,
It isn't on sale though on my end, not on GOG and Steam. But I will wait for it.
yeah.
By the
I
way,
mean,
I'm really sad for to what happened to this game because Fox Interactive really like they made a marketing campaign for this multi-million campaign for this game,
they did.
and I think it's also because of the game when this was released, especially the second game. It was already PS2 was already out in the market, or it was about to be released, and they saw
It was 1999, and Dreamcast had been released, so we're
Right.
getting to that point, and everyone knew but at least PS2 was going to happen. So I guess you could say there was that, but even then, I think there were just other games that were really, it had to, like, it was versus to this. Obviously, I mentioned Spyro the Dragon being one of them, but there were so many other platforms, Klonoa being another one as well. You know, and when you got a market saturated with 3D platformer adventure games, you're going to go for the cream of the cream, right? It's dog eat dog, right? So of course, like, would I rather play this or Spyro? I'll play Spyro. You know, would I rather play this or Klonoa? I'll play Klonoa. You know, so again, it's like, what are the reviews saying? You know, it's a tough one because it's dog eat dog, and then sadly the second game, like I say, was quite mid. It didn't really add more from this particular game. If you play it, you'll understand what I mean, because the second game, if you like the first game a lot, okay, you like the second game, but it doesn't add that much to it. It's just an extension of the first game. If you really look at it, like, what's it really adding in terms of gameplay tropes? Yeah, okay, maybe some different level design, maybe a bit more challenging level design, maybe slightly better graphics and control scheme. But other than that, there isn't anything that's leaps and bounds against, ahead of the first game. And I think that's the problem that Croc 2 had. And again, when you've got other new IPs out there that can compete against Croc, how can it really stand a chance? And unless the sequel is just that much better than the first, and it's a leap, it's more of a revolution than just an evolution of the first game. And sadly, as I mentioned, I think there were just so many games that were out, not just platformers, just a lot was happening in 1999. A lot was happening in 1999. So how could it really compete? That's the sad truth. And obviously we had the birth of Dreamcast as well, which was also taking some of the thunder. And we knew it was actually the anticipation of PS2 which killed a lot of things that were happening in that fifth generation, I felt, because a lot of people were saving their money for PS2.
But still, I give props for Argonauts for with the not just for Croc, but the development of the games that uses analog controls, because they developed what they call this game, Alien Resurrection, and that they really implemented the analog controls for that game. You can really use the left and right analog sticks for the controls. It's a first person shooter game, and you can really use with the help of this game Croc, they really implemented the use of the left and right analog controls for, especially for the camera, because for these kinds of games you really need to tweak the camera, the angles, so you could um, jump properly to the next platform.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I can appreciate the significance of this game, because games like Croc, because of the analog controls, because this is one of the first games like this could walk, so Spyro could fly, literally. So I have a lot of respect for this particular game. What about your thoughts, Sir Joe? Because you're sitting there looking.
It's
at
been
it,
so silent.
And, this is there. So
Well,
what
you
are your
guys are.
thoughts on-
I mean, you guys are talking quite a lot about this game. All right. With Croc, I can acknowledge Croc. I can recognize Croc. Show me his picture. I know who he is. PlayStation 1 era. Okay. This was a time when everything has to be in 3D. Okay. And aside from Croc, I'll include Klonoa, I'll include Spyro and Crash Bandicoot in this rant. I never really liked this kind of platforming in 3D when it first came out with the PlayStation 1. The only game that I remembered playing in the same kind of category is, you guys might know this, Brave Fencer Musashi by Square.
Of course.
Okay. And that's the first, and that's not, and I think that's the only 3D platformer game that I played. And I'm like, and even I had some difficulty playing that game. This was a time when I don't have any Game Shark. This was a time when I didn't know any Game Facts walkthroughs or whatsoever. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know where I was going. Didn't know where to go. Didn't know what to do. And then with the jumping platforms, eventually I had to learn not to look at the character itself. I need to look where the shadow is falling. In games like Croc, Spyro, Crash, there's always this shadow right below them, and whenever you do a jump, you need to make sure where their shadow is going to fall, because most likely that's the place where they're going to land. That was my technique on how to play Brave Fencer Musashi at the time. So I know, I mean, it was a skill issue, to be honest with me. And if I played Brave Fencer Musashi now, I'm not even sure if Brave Fencer Musashi is even considered as a mascot at this stage. But I didn't really progress way too further on that game, and it really gave me this impression that all of the 3D platformers are pretty much the same way in terms of game mechanics like this. You know, like I said, it was a different time. The Z dimensions had to be implemented here because it's 3D. It took me a while. It did took me a while to recognize that, to adapt to it. a few years later, when I played Threads of Fate, again, platformer adventure, Threads of Fate for the PlayStation 1. Another game from Square, of course. So yeah, so I'll try to lump Spyro, Crash, Klonoa, and Croc under the same category here in terms of my gaming experience with them. This was like what, the mid-90s when they did came out. So if I'm going to play Croc or any of those games now, maybe I will fare a little bit better.
That's interesting.
As long as I know the shadow trick. If I keep on using the shadow trick, eventually I'll.
But do you not feel like, okay? So you made a point about the shadow trick, and that's there. That's a very static way of playing a platformer game, because you're like, okay, I'm jumping, but sometimes some of these platformers, we'll mention Spyro the Dragon. He's moving while he jumps and he can glide, so you have a bit more control, and you can just like sort of suddenly drop down and let go, and you can turn him and he can fall. So you have that sort of like I don't want to use the word latency, but you have that sort of timing. You can actually time yourself and control your drops a lot better. Whereas Croc here, he drops like a rock. You know, he's like there, and you're if he's there, and sometimes it's the feel of the character. Sometimes I think, yeah, you're right about the shadow, but when you're making that leap, you think, okay, I've used this much force on the D-pad or the stick to push it there. Let's be consistent and like do a bit of practicing. So you should actually know and get a feel of just how fast that force is going to be and how fast he's going to jump from one platform to another and how much force is required with enough practice. So sometimes you can do it without even having to look at the shadow. You know that that's exactly how far it should go. Do you not ever feel that you could do that, Sergio? Do you not ever feel like, oh, I can feel this character got the momentum? I know that it's going to be there. Or is that still a skill issue for you?
And it didn't really help mentioning, tank controls without the D-pad. Oh, fuck that. I mean, I remember because I had the original PlayStation 1, like the original controllers without the D-pad, without the analogs, without the D-Shock analog sticks. So, I mean, if I played this one with that kind of controller, I would have rage quit right then and there, page 1.
I wouldn't rage quit, but I'll probably get used to it. I'll probably die a few times, but I'll know exactly, even with that digital input through practice, okay, he's going to move that far and he's going to fall precisely in this area or roughly in this area. I have that approximation through practice and trial and error. And maybe these games are meant to test you to make sure you get that rhythm. And that's the beauty of platformers.
I still insist that all games with tank controls deserve a special place in hell. But that is just me.
That's fair enough. You know, you mentioned yourself, it's a skill issue for you. You know, so
it's a skill issue.
I'm not trying to
even Gummy agrees with me. Okay, fuck tank controls.
It's like Sergio. See you in hell.
See you in hell.
Shall we move on?
Until then, no. I will play I will play all of your tank control games in hell. Okay, but till then. Save me a seat, okay? Torment me all you want.
Let's move on to the next game. The next game I'd like is my game, my choice.
Oh, is it? Are we going next or?
What I'll do mine, and then we can go.
Okay, go.
Yeah, that's all right with you, JD. We've still got loads of time for me as well. I'll talk about the next. This happened. This game came out a year after Croc. And this is a PlayStation exclusive. So Croc, it might have been on Sega Saturn. Actually, it was on a lot of things. Okay, so the game I'm going to talk about is a game I got for my 13th birthday by my uncle and aunt back in 1998 called Spyro the Dragon. And I remember this, like the adverts came out, and I thought, oh, this is a cool game. This is nice. I like this game. I like dragons. I like it, and then it looked really nice, and I thought, okay, can I have this? And I got it for my birthday. And I put it on my PlayStation, and I played it. And the first thing that sort of drew me in straight away is, okay, so you get straight into the plot, and the dragons. They obviously they tell you the story of what's happened, which is there's some ogre-looking guy called Nasty Nork, and he's stolen all the gems, and he's taken, like, he's basically frozen all the dragons with his wand. So you'll see them. He's turned them all into statues, and your job is to find all the dragons, and bring them to life. And the dragons will give you advice and talk to you as you continue on your platform adventure. And there are 6 distinct worlds that you have to sort of visit, and if you get enough dragons that you rescue, it gives you the currency and gems as well. You can get to the next world. So there's obviously a degree of fetch quest and things you need to achieve before you can move to the next world. And it's typically how many dragons have you rescued in that area. And there's usually 3 dragons per level you have to find, and some are in secret places. So it's not just your sort of straightforward platform game. You actually have to explore in these levels. You have to explore the 3D environment. And you want to do it anyway. You want to explore every inch of it, and you want to get all the gems and get 100% or whatever. Now, Spyro is a character. He has 2 attacks. He can charge and headbutt an enemy, or he can use his flame. He can torch them with his flame. And again, Spyro is a character that can fly as well. And obviously there's like all sorts of secrets and Easter eggs in various levels. So you got that. A very detailed, colorful environment each level has. It's not just like one or two colors. Like you can see there's a waterfall in the distance here. You can see in this particular level we've got down. I believe this is the Magic Drafters world that we're in. Another thing that drew me in when I got this game was the soundtrack. It was outstanding, and it's not like it's good for like sort of easy listening as well as sort of playing the game. But I enjoyed it. You know, whether you're listening to it or you're just playing the game, it's quite chill. It's quite relaxing, and you can just go along with it. But yeah, I love this game. Like, there's something really cool about this because it's not just your simple platformer. Like you might have, here you can see in the distance, you got like platforms all the way there, and you can glide all the way to them, and you can take risks and chances. And this is another way you can explore it. And he's found that dragon all the way here in this corner. Again, he's going to go after this thief and get this egg from him as well, because there's dragon eggs you have to find or whatever. So yeah, there's a lot here in this game. There's a lot more than the game prior to it, which was Croc that we just discussed, which is like the I'll always remember Croc as being like the precursor to Spyro on PlayStation. One of my hot takes, and I think a lot of people will be like, "Are you crazy, Viraj?" I think that Spyro the Dragon is a better game objectively than Mario 64. Yeah, Mario 64 came out what, 96, 97, and whilst it was a standout and a benchmark for what 3D platformers should be, I think this was Sony and Insomniac Games' way of saying, we could do what they do, but so much better. And I think this is like the top tier 3D platform on PlayStation 1. This set a standards to how 3D platforms would move in terms of the way you can angle your camera, in the way that you have precision and control over your character and move from one area to another and have a huge 3D playground to explore and enjoy. And not only that, all the different goals you could have. It wasn't just a linear experience of getting from A to B. It was about, finding all the dragons, as I mentioned before, finding all the treasures, and getting the bonus stages. There were also bonus stages where Spyro flies, and he just consistently flies, and he has to get through and fulfill all the targets that he needs to get through. So, yeah, I absolutely love this game. Do tell me your thoughts, guys. What are your thoughts on this game that I've just talked about?
Yeah, I'm just actually speaking to, chatting with Boron Oroka in the chat, and he loves this game as well. I think I started with Ripto's Tide, was it? Was it the second one?
That was the second game, yeah.
The second one, yeah. I liked that one. And then I played. Was it Year of the Dragon after that?
The third one.
Yeah. All produced, like you said, by Insomniac.
Yeah.
I think they did fumble a bit with that, but they did make Spider-Man, so I'll forgive them for that. So.
Well, I will say that I think with the Spyro games, they're all consistently as good as each other. I think where one game might have lacked something the original had, the other game then took the mantle and made the third one better in that area, if that made sense. They all had their own unique little things that were good, but they also had the things that they could have been improved on. As the series progressed, but you have a solid trilogy where the games are very well made and you can enjoy them. And it was the point where they actually made the Ignited trilogy in recent years on all the modern consoles, Switch, PlayStation 4, 5, and I think it was 5, PlayStation 4 and Xbox. So, it did get a touch up. It did get a paint job, and it is a fondly remembered trilogy. So I'll defend it, but yes, I agree that there were things lacking in the sequel that the original didn't have. I think the original for me stands out as being like the best in the series, but I'm only going to say that because there was nothing quite like it before. Maybe it's through those nostalgia glasses, or maybe it's because of the impact that the first game had. Whereas the second ones, even though there were slight evolutions from it, I felt that it could have been a lot better, but they were just extensions of the first game. But they were still of a decent quality where the series was successful enough to continue. Even to Game Boy Advance, which is where the series continued from PlayStation. But yeah, the PlayStation games were outstanding in my view, and again, the series continued even after that on with the Legend of Spyro and all that happened in the late 2000s and going forward.
Don't
But
forget
this
the
is-
Skylanders one. There was a
Yeah, so he's a character that's used. That there were so many Spyro and Crash games because Spyro and Crash were the standout successes of this era. So all these other games that we've talked about are losers. We're never gonna see those franchises again because not bankable. Whereas Spyro, we're gonna continue seeing him.
I feel like the Skylanders one was like it was his game. I think it was named after him, if I remember. But he was like he was a cameo in his own game. It didn't feel right for me anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna get collaborations. There was a Spyro and Crash game, so like that they did on the Game Boy Advance. It's called Spyro and Crash Fusion, where you could actually borrow the characters and have a link cable. So they fused the franchise because Vivendi Universal at the time took over the IPs, and they could do that sort of thing, and it worked. It actually worked quite well. They're IPs that work well together. They're both sort of PlayStation sort of mascot IPs, unofficial PlayStation mascot IPs, but they're very much loved characters. And even now, like whenever I go to a gaming market, there's somebody was selling a Spyro plushie, so it's still a relevant franchise, I would say. But yeah, sorry, Ravi, you were saying you're giving the critique. I cut you off there. Go on.
Yeah. I mean, they also after the Skylanders, I think they also went on to do another trilogy. It was like A New Beginning, Eternal Night, and Dawn of the Dragon. But I agree. I think with Veronica, the OG's the best. I think. But yeah, that's just my little opinion on that.
I think the original will be the best because there was just nothing quite like it at the time that could compete with. I think they took a gap with the series and then they started again. And whilst that new trilogy was good, by then they'd slept on the IP for so long, and there were so many other sort of 3D action games that were out by then that we had seen. How do you make a franchise stand out from the rest? Don't get me wrong, I liked A New Beginning, but again, there were all sorts of other games that were coming out at the time. But even then, I think just as a character, as an attitude with an IP and a story and the world that Spyro has and how big it is, like it's quite a big world. It was going to be successful anyway. It will continue because unlike Spyro the Dragon, it's just such a fun game to play. Anyway,
I just didn't like how the Skylanders they named it the game after him. It was like Skylanders Spyro's Adventure, but he's not. He wasn't even the main person on the cover. It was some other random.
They probably bought the IP just to sell copies. That's how it is. Like, that must have been it, man. That's got to be the only way they did it. But whatever, man. I never even played that game, so I can't really comment too much on the Skylanders game. But it is what it is. Your thoughts on this game, JDM?
I haven't really played Spyro this series. What I remember is playing it on the demo disc. I forgot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's the only time I have played this. Then I'm familiar with Gex. I finished Gex. But this one, I was able to enjoy the demo, but I wasn't able to play the full game because I was already enjoying Siphon Filter and Metal Gear Solid. So it went down to my list of games to play until I think I haven't even played it after a year, like a decade after its release. I wasn't able to play it because I'm not interested with these types of games anymore because of huge list of games that I wanted to play, like first-person shooters and other action games. So I never really had the time to play this one, but I enjoyed it when I first played the demo. And I think that's it. I
That's
can't
it, fair
really
enough.
say I can't really say anything about it, but I enjoyed. I also remember Blasto. It also had tank controls. That game.
Captain Blasto. Oh
Yeah,
God.
he looks like Johnny Bravo.
Right.
They 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 just don't want to admit that it's Johnny Bravo in superhero costume, but it's really him to avoid copyright or lawsuits.
A very tragic character, Captain Blasto. If we have time to talk about him, there's a
Yeah.
very tragic story about that guy, about that character. Anyway,
What about yourself, Miss I? What do you think of Spyro the Dragon?
I'm actually quite interested with Spyro. And by the way, Baron Naroyka said earlier that here in the Philippines, it was either Spyro or Crash Bandicoot. So with my case, I grew up with Crash instead of this one. But then 7 years ago, in 2019, Humble Bundle released a bundle with both Spyro and Crash Bandicoot, both trilogies. I got the games, both games in that during that month. So Spyro has been sitting on my backlog for quite some time, and I need to jump into it. So this reminds me to go and play it because I know Crash, and this one I need to familiarize myself. And just a question: do they speak? Do the dragons speak? Because I think
Yeah,
as
they
earlier.
do. They've got voice actors. Each dragon has his own voice actors, and they talk to you. Oh, Spyro, if you look over there, you can do this, and it sort of gives you hints in levels. They give you little hints, some of them, or they tell you advice in terms of the game, which actually is quite interesting. I thought it's quite immersive. Like sometimes I was like, I want to see, like as a kid, I'd be like, I want to see what the next dragon has to say, and there was the incentive for me to try and free the next dragon or find it in the level. Where is it? Where is it? But all the dragons have voice actors.
Gary Oldman one of the voices as well in like his if I remember Gary Oldman, David Spade is
probably
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, there you go. So you get to hear their voices. I don't know. I mean, some of them sound like it's Ian McKellen, because they've got these sort of old Shakespearean. They all have different, like some have an American accent, some have British accents. It's really interesting. So they've got all these characters in there that voice do random voices. The dragon is pretty cool. But definitely the Reignited trilogy and the Crash Bandicoot trilogy, they're the ways to play those games now because the graphics are just so much better to look at than the original. So you're going to win with either of them, I would say. So definitely give them a go. Definitely worth giving.
I'm just bummed they take up too much space in the hard drive.
They do. They're both big. They take up so much space. Like what annoyed me on the Switch copy, which is why I didn't get it, which is only the first game is on the card. The other two you have to download on the Switch, whereas the PlayStation version, they're all on the disc. So if you've got PlayStation 4, obviously, or Switch, you get the PlayStation 4 version because you've got the whole game there. Well, I bet you know that. I believe that's the case, though. But you might manage. But it's annoying when you get to the point where they just run out of space to put on the media. But they're quite heavy. They're quite heavy in terms of memory. I don't know how many gigs they are, but they do take up a lot of space, these games, obviously.
Around 75.
Oh, yeah, 75 gigs. Yeah, there we go. That explains a lot.
But I'm looking at it on IMDb, and wow, Clancy Brown is in here. Wow.
Goodness.
Julian was saying something, by the way.
Yeah. You need to see this Twitch streamer. One of my streamer friends that I know, his name is Jewel Shock Nation. He's from Australia as well. He's really good at this game. He spent a lot of time playing Crash Bandicoot and Spyro. He's playing on original hardware. You should check him out. I'll drop the
all right.
name.
All I will say is going back to this particular game, and I suppose in Crash as well, because they made a game, it was a success, and they brought another one out. And then another one out, and they kept going. And I think that's what can make a franchise successful if you have more than one good game, more than one great game. And Spyro was great when it came out. It showed a true 3D environment. You had a lot more control, a lot more precision than, in my view, Mario 64. And again, Spyro has speed. Look at him run, and you can run off cliffs, you can fly. You have a lot more gameplay mechanics than that game did, which is understandable. With Crash Bandicoot, what I found interesting about that is, even though it's a 3D environment, it's very much 3D, 2D environment in the sense that you've got one direction he'll move in. it's sort of like a 3D plane, but it's not like a world with the first Crash Bandicoot. Obviously, as the sequels came out, the games got bigger and bigger, and the Crash Bandicoot became more of a 3D game. Where Spyro was always 3D, but they're all very, very good games. Well, they're both very, very good games. But when I think of PlayStation platformers, I think of Crash and Spyro being like sort of like the final, like better game out of the three. Joe, what's your final thoughts on this game? Because you I hear what you say about it.
Right. I remember back in the mid 90s reading a lot of gaming magazines. It's a toss up really in terms of being a mascot for PlayStation 1. It's either Crash or your Spyro. And there were a lot of advertisements for both mascots at the time. But the first time I saw Spyro, in my gut, I believe Spyro would have been the better mascot representing PS1 rather than Crash. Only I mean with a little bit of a margin, because like you guys mentioned, Spyro had a lot more going on gameplay wise. Okay, and to my knowledge, you guys know this more than I do. Who's the main antagonist of Spyro?
An evil professor.
Which one?
Cortex, Dr. Cortex.
No,
you're talking about
that's Crash.
Crash, sorry,
That's
Crash. The main antagonist is Nasty Nork. He's a
like
troll.
for all three games.
I think so. I could be wrong. I haven't played all three inside out, so I can't remember. I think he is.
Because I mean, to me, I can understand why most people would choose Crash. For you to become a good mascot, you're only as good as your main antagonist, right? Mario got Bowser, Sonic has Robotnik Eggman, and then Crash has Professor Neocortex. Spyro, I mean, to my knowledge, Spyro had a lot of antagonists all throughout his games.
Yeah,
there's not a single one. So marketing wise, you need to make sure that you are selling to the players. Who are you fighting against?
Yeah,
who your main mascot is fighting against. Like,
so there's three
at least
different.
You have a main target. You have a main goal. You have someone to hate or root against, so that you're pining more on the mascot itself or the main character itself. That's why it's to me. I understand why people tend to gravitate more to Crash, because we know who's gonna be the main antagonist here. We know who's gonna fight eventually in the end. With Spyro, to my knowledge, and this is coming from a guy who hasn't played any of the Spyro games.
Yeah,
even I know you're fighting a lot more than just one.
Yeah, so you got Nasty Nork,
gameplay,
main villain in the first game. Then you have Ripto, who's like this dragon-hating creature in the second one, and then you have this like crocodile thing in the last one. That's like some villain there. So you have three different villains with their own plot lines. But I agree with you in the sense that at least, I mean, Cortex himself is a character. He's an interesting character as villains go. But then I would say that Crash Bandicoot is like ripping off the whole, Mega Man, Sonic the Hedgehog vibe of having an evil scientist as a villain. You got
that's the thing. That's the thing. That's why I didn't really gravitate more to Crash, because he's fighting another Professor clone. I mean, Sonic has that guy, right? And in terms of character design, you're like what, red orange. The way I look at you, you look more like Mario, but you're an animal, anthropomorphic, like and Sonic. you're an animal who is not really unheard of compared to a hedgehog. You play more like Sonic as well. So to me, Spyro is a little bit more unique compared to Crash in all levels, except for a villain problem.
In terms of gameplay tropes and the way it is, definitely more unique, and it stands out differently to what we've seen with Mario and Sonic. I totally agree with you. I think if Sony wanted to differentiate themselves, they would probably back Spyro. Obviously, Spyro came a little later than Crash. So they had to do what they had to do. But
Spyro can fly. I mean, I mean, Sonic just runs and then he drowns, and if he stayed in water for way too long. I
Yeah.
mean, say what you will about Mario, with all of his power ups, he can sort of fly. If he has to be, if he's
Power up.
dressed up with, as a frog or a
American,
or a
American
raccoon
jump.
dog, sure, a tanuki. But Spear can fly. He can breathe fire. He has a lot more attacks there. Understandably, as a dragon, you got he can headbutt with his horn. He can use his tail. He can jump. He can fly. All of that stuff, right? I
In the
mean,
third game, he can also breathe like ice and bubbles, I believe.
oh,
In
see.
the later games, he gets more power ups. Yeah. That's
So
interesting.
yeah, so to me, I mean, in my heart, Spiro would have been the better representative of the PlayStation One, but I can understand why Crash. Sure.
It's all very interesting we are saying this, but you know what the biggest tragedy is, and what I think is really what I found really, really weird, baffling, was when a few years back, well, some years back, when Sony made that PlayStation Classic Mini, not one of these 3D games made it to that roster, which I think was the biggest crime ever. No Spyro, no Crash, not even Croc was on that bloody thing, which I thought was just ridiculous. Not one cutesy 3D platform was included on the PlayStation Classic Mini. All we got was bloody Rayman, and that was a 2D game, which was a crime. Not that Rayman is bad or anything; it's a very good game for PlayStation, but it's a 2D platform.
Licensing issues.
They didn't want to
Such a
pay for
tragic
any of the three licenses.
story with the PlayStation Classic,
Sony
really.
can afford it. They were just being tight.
So they could have afforded if they wanted to, but they chose to cheap out.
They're just stupid.
It's a shame.
So I'd want to throw that out there.
Damn
Right.
shame.
So yes, that's it. Spyro the Dragon. I think it's definitely the winner out of what we've chosen as a franchise. I think will still be successful. We'll still see more games going forward. JDM, you have one you want to talk about as well. You want to talk about Gex the Gecko. Also came out in 1998. So let's see what you have to say about the Gex the Gecko game.
So Gex was supposedly the mascot for the Panasonic 3DO. I think that's what they're really going for. But we all know that Panasonic 3DO didn't really sell well. I think one of the
Expensive as fuck.
Well, we all know what that's about, but you go on.
It was a CD-based console, right? Yeah, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was.
So it also had Demolition Man, if I remember correctly. So Gex, the gecko is, unlike Croc, he's not really cutesy. He's also I'm really into anamorphic reptiles, and he's a gecko who talks a lot because it's a slob. He likes to watch TV, and all of a sudden, this cyborg, what's his name, Rez, who controls the media dimension, he would like to take over the world. So to become to have a mascot, he kidnapped Gex into his media dimension, and so that's the first game. This is the first game actually from the series. It's a 2D platformer with 3D graphics, and as you can see there's a lot of detail in his design, unlike the ones we saw from Just Jack Rabbit and Earthworm Jim. This one looks more detailed and more colorful. Because it's a 32-bit machine, they need to maximize the graphics for their games. And then it had sequels. For the PS1, it's Gex Enter the Gecko. Became a 3D, fully computer-generated 3D game where you could navigate in 3D just as much like Mario 64 and Spyro, Croc, and Crash Bandicoot. It's a sequel to the first direct sequel for the first game. and it's also a platformer where you could collect items and collect remotes. Also, the setting is also in the media dimension. He was asked by this Men in Black to defeat Res once again. And what they did is they offered, since returning from the media dimension, he retired from uh, that hero life, and these two Men in Black came out of nowhere, and for him to what they call this, convince him to return to the media dimension, he was offered $1 million.
Yeah, he
So
was.
he paid them first, and they made him an agent. It's like a tribute to James Bond, the popularity of James Bond during the 90s with Pierce Brosnan. So he was like an James Bond spy flick inspired on that game. And on the third game, he also had a partner called Agent Extra, who was actress for which I forget. I forgot the TV series, the one Baywatch. I forgot the name of the
David Hasselhoff.
actress.
Oh,
Not
Pamela
David
Anderson.
Hasselhoff. Not Pamela
Pamela
Anderson.
Anderson.
It's a female. It's an actress. She's an actress, and she was the live action partner of Gex in that game.
Yeah. She's the one with with the big cleavage during the FMV sequences.
Yes, and
Right.
I remember Gex was one of the
I remember this game because of her. Because they always keep panning to her. They always keep panning the camera to her boobs every time she's on. I'm
and
like,
also
nice.
even in the print media, she has this cat suit, that unzipped cat suit
Yeah.
showing the
Yeah,
cleavage.
nice. Really deep
Ah,
neckline, right?
I remember the name, Maris Andrade.
Andrade. Man,
Yeah.
Maurice
Marley
Andrade.
Yeah.
And I think one of the early PG video game characters is Gex, because he had this the humor that he has is maybe because of uh, the voice actor that he had for the North American version, which is um, he's a comedian, stand-up comedian. I forgot his name.
I googled
Let's see.
it. Is it the gold?
Daniel Gold, right? And which is very different for the UK version, which is Leslie Phillips, the actor, who sounded like much more of a narrator than a stand-up comedian. And yeah, he's quite coarse and vulgar. Maybe somehow the inspiration for Conquer, another video game mascot, who I think Sir Dan talked about Conquer's Bad Fur Day
Yes,
in one of the
Railway.
episodes.
Yeah, Railway.
Was
It's
really,
Railway.
it's like a
Congress
click.
Bad Friday.
It was what they call this, really innocent video
it's
game
about-
character. You won't realize that he's really this very vulgar character, because Conquer
Nasty.
looks really innocent, but
The game
when-
itself is full of innuendos and sexual innuendos. This is a game that Joe would love to play because it's so funny and there's so many popular culture references. And
I was told,
Nintendo-
yes.
Nintendo
Mhm.
themselves didn't even publish it. Yeah, THQ had to publish it on Nintendo 64, which made it like a really expensive cartridge. It was like £70, when it came out. No one could, but like that game is so funny. They did I think they did a remaster on Xbox afterwards called Locked and Reloaded. I don't know if that was any good, but yeah, the first Nintendo 64 Conker's Bad Fur Day was hilarious. But go on, carry on, JDM. You're talking about voice actors for Gex. I didn't notice that they changed him for every game. So even on the third game, it was Danny John Jules or whatever his name is, a British actor who was in Red Dwarf. So you're going to get these voice actors, and again, you're going to get these sort of adult tropes with like the Baywatch actress. They're trying to sell these games to teenage audiences, and obviously sex sells. And
Yeah, they were.
a bodacious babe with cleavage. You want this, and there you go. And that was the whole point in it. But yeah, Gex. I played Enter the Gecko, which is the second game. So this is when what I find really interesting is the first game is a 2D platformer, but the third game is like proper 2D, 3D adventure style game, 3D adventure style platformer, which is in my view better than the first game. It's its own thing, which I enjoyed. The third game I never played. I know my cousin had it on Nintendo 64, but general consensus was the second game in the series was the best one. I think this is a case of where you have the first game, which is remarkably different from the others. It did very well, and they thought, okay, we could do something with this IP. Let's make it 3D. They did a good job. And the third game, while it wasn't as successful, the problem is the studio who made it, they were making a loss, and Eidos had to buy them out in '98. And I remember how obviously they're going to have to do things, and I think they had to sort of pick and choose which franchises were bankable. And obviously they went with, I think, Legacy of Kain or Tomb Raider or whatever. They continue with those franchises, whereas sadly Gex has never seen the light of day. I think Square Enix sort of owned the IP afterwards, etc., etc. But sadly, they just didn't bother with it. Nothing really happened. There were only 3 games in the Gex series, and that was it. Yeah, it'd be nice to see it come again, I suppose, in a trilogy pack and a remaster. But I don't think it will. I just don't think it had enough traction. I don't think it sold enough. And I think out of all the IPs that we mentioned here, I think this is probably the one that people talk least about, even though it has 3 games in the series. It's not that it's bad. Yeah, it's incredibly fun. But I just don't think... I think it's one of those games that deserved a bit more credit for what it was. But again, it was up against so many great games, it sort of got overshadowed at the time. My thoughts.
If Gex came out with the PlayStation instead of 3DO, would have been a different story, in my opinion.
Well, Rayman could have toppled it. The Rayman was also a thing.
As a mascot. At the time when Gex was advertised in the gaming magazines, and Sir JDM was right. Primarily, the actress was included during the marketing of it, and us being the horny kids back in the day, I'm like, so are we actually gonna see a lot more of the guy, a lot more of the lady if we play this game? Well, sex sells, right?
Take you some time if you would like to know the ending of this game but don't want to play it. The ending of Enter the Gecko, the second game. So he defeated Rez, then he got back. He was in this room with another Crystal Dynamics game. A protagonist of a Crystal Dynamics game called Nikki from Pandemonium, and they were in the same room, and I remember he was talking about something I couldn't remember, but I remember it's tail time. He said it's tail time. That's his catchphrase. So you know what's happening because he has the robes, like the Hugh Hefner robes, and Nikki was fondling her on the bed, in the hotel bed or something like that. Then you really know what's gonna happen.
He was gonna get it on with a gecko, with a lizard.
But only
basically.
if you complete all of those collectibles. You finished 100% of the game. So you need to really persevere. And so I don't think a lot of people was able to complete it 100% because the although it's not tank controls, but the sci-fi sci-fi levels of this game, they're really unmerciful with with their gameplay, because you need to get oxygen. You have an oxygen tank that you need to replenish from time to time to in order to complete the game, because if you run out of if you run out of oxygen, regardless of the health that you have, you will die instantly. And you need, unless you get a checkpoint in the level, you will begin at the you will start at the beginning of the game, which is really frustrating. So any thoughts, guys? Have you played this? Have you played the first game or the 3D game version of this game?
Just a
I
second.
mean,
And I remember
to
the
my
advertisement.
knowledge, I mean, he's the only mascot that I know, gaming mascot that I know, who can do, clinging on the walls. So it's a very nice gimmick. I mean, he's the only. I mean, to my knowledge, he's the only one who does that. Climbing through the walls, the ceiling, as a game mechanic. Really.
Well, there is always Spider-Man, but never mind.
You know what I mean.
Spider-Man. Spider-Man did this long before Gex the Gecko.
No, you know what I mean.
What do you mean? Yeah, I don't know what you mean. Fucking explain yourself. What do you mean he's the
I know, you know what I mean. I mean, mascot wise. Come on. In terms of giving mascot wise.
He's Marvel's mascot, mate.
No, what I mean, Spyro couldn't do that. Jazz couldn't do this. Mario couldn't do this. Sonic couldn't do this. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Don't be
No. Let's cut the crap here, man. I was right with Spider-Man. Yeah, just bow down. Yeah.
No, Spider-Man's a given, of course.
Yeah, but he's still.
What I'm saying is, out of all of the mascots that we have during the 90s, he's the only one who could do this.
We're talking original mascots designed for video games, not something that's been borrowed from another IP. I understand. I'm just messing with you. But yeah, I don't think. Yeah, obviously he's a lizard. Of course, it's going to stick to wall. That's a gaming trope, but we've seen that before. That's what I'm trying to say. It's nothing special. Nothing special, darling. All right. So yeah, thank you for bringing this game to our attention. I remember the adverts for this series when it came out, but I just thought, and I saw it in the magazines, but I thought, who's this James Bond wannabe, man? That's what I kind of thought. And when I played it, I thought, okay, this is interesting, but it's nothing special. I didn't think it was nothing special, but it would be nice to be seen again, because I can understand people like this series, and it's not a bad game. It's just it didn't stand out as well as the competition. What I will say is, during this era, there's a lot of really good games that came out and interesting games. And I think we're living in an era now where we have games that are even no remotely near as good in terms of quality, maybe, but they get a bit more press, in my view. Whereas a game like this is probably maybe better than something that we've got now. But anyway, just my thoughts on that. So yeah, I mean, shall we do another game, or shall we call it a day with this game of mascots? We could do another one if you want to.
Oh, Miss I, and Sir RV. Any thoughts about Gex?
I like what Sir Viraj said, where when I first saw it, I was like, who's this kind of James Bond kind of, because that's what you see on the cover art. That's what you see in the cover art.
It was the second game. It was nobody, like the first game, nobody knew about. It's the second game that everybody started talking about because they started promoting it. So,
I've never played it, but seeing the gameplay, I do like the mechanic where he can kind of crawl up. I wasn't expecting that, but it's really cool. But yeah, I don't think this was widely popular anyway in here in Australia. Anyways, I think primarily for the PlayStation it was Crash and Spyro, and obviously you had Mario and Sonic. But yeah, it's one of the lesser knowns for sure, in my opinion.
How about you, Miss I?
Now, as for me, I would say, just like you, Sir Joe, I like that amongst the mascots that we chose tonight, Gex could of course, cling to the walls. And, and there was one part in the clip earlier where he clung to the bottom of the rocket. So that was quite cool. And
Upside down.
I like,
You can.
yes,
Yeah.
upside down. And I like the animation, when he's slithering through the walls. It's like a real, they really captured the movement of a lizard. I like how they drew or designed and animated kicks.
Yeah,
So
he,
as
he
I'm
can
on the art.
he can cling on the rope multiple. There's also one when there's a like a backdrop and it's going to be like the top view. You can see him crawling on the backdrop. But it depends because there are times that the backdrops are not. But it will give you a hint whether you could cling to the backdrop or not.
Okay.
I would have liked to seen in the game him actually wear the suit. I think that would have been cool as well. I didn't see that in the gameplay that we showed. Is there a game where they show that, Sir JDM, where they have him in the suit as well?
Well, the tuxedo.
Tuxedo, yes, yeah.
Only when you are in the overview overworld where you choose which level to go. And you can also do a flying kick by holding the left L2 or R2 while running, then press jump. You will do a flying kick that it doesn't really do anything unless you hit the wall, and all of a sudden he gets dizzy. And then but he also have other gimmick suits, like there's a level dedicated for these old kung fu movies where he will wear like a kimono. Was it Is it a kimono? Or but there's also a suit where he's wearing the Bruce Willis suit, the yellow jumper suit. And he also has this suit he looks like Bugs Bunny or Daffy Duck in the cartoon levels. But on the first game, there's no suit. He can't wear any suit.
All right.
There's also a level where it's a bonus level actually, where it's archaeology level. He's wearing the Indiana Jones suit with the cap, with a hat and the leather jacket.
So basically, it's a parody
Yeah.
of other tortures that we've seen before, but there's nothing really original. I suppose, what is he, a gecko? Like maybe he's like a chameleon trying to like borrow all these other traits that we've seen before to make him
It looks
interesting.
like that gecko from the Geico commercial.
So one thing I've learned is JDM and Miss I like characters that are green.
Green.
Okay.
Like a green. Right.
All right. You and your green. Dear. Right.
Before we go straight to Serveraj's second pick, I'll go. I have two, but I'll keep it short.
Go for it.
So my first one, and I chose these two because of their backstories that they have, not because of their gameplay and all that. My first would be Captain Blasto, like we mentioned earlier. It came out for the PlayStation 1 back in 1998, and Sir JDM is right. So it kind of looked like a Johnny Bravo character, really big buff, really big buff upper body and blonde hair.
Mr.
Okay.
Invincible.
It's a platformer shoot 'em up. A platformer shoot 'em up for the PlayStation 1, and he was voiced by Phil Hartman. And to those you guys who are on the know, especially Miss I will know this, he is voiced by Troy McClure. You might remember him in such shows like The Simpsons or Saturday Night Live or or those other famous radio so he's also a comedic actor and a radio show host as well. Okay, but so there were PlayStation and Sony was banking on this game to be such a huge hit. They were planning to do a sequel for Captain Blasto, but after 1998, unfortunately, Phil Hartman died. Okay, he had so the story was right after the completion of this game, he had this heated argument with his wife, Bryn Omdahl, to my knowledge, and then he went to sleep in his room, and then she fatally shot him right in the face and in the neck. That's and then the next day after, she committed suicide as well, shot herself. That is why at the time when The Simpsons came out, around this time, Troy McClure was gone altogether because Phil Hartman, the actor, died because of that incident. And with all of the plans for Sony doing a Captain Blasto Part Two, they had to scrap all of that. So this is technically the last piece of media that Phil Hartman has ever worked on. This is the last one. Tragic. Really.
It's a one-hit wonder. There's only been one game in this. There's no series. It's just one game. That's it. One. So, of course, this is quite tragic because it couldn't have a sequel, even if the first one was a success, because of death, because the talent that came with it or was part of it died, and that is sad. That's an interesting one. So it's a loser for like the unfortunate reason that the person that was supposed to be attached to the project of a game that does look really fun, really good, just didn't live, sadly, and that's sad. That is very sad.
Didn't really know about that until
I didn't
today.
know about the game.
Yeah, me neither. I didn't know about that. Yeah, wow.
And then the next one I'm showing will be Awesome Possum. Came out for the Sega for the Sega Mega Drive or Genesis. Okay, now to my knowledge, so this game came out in what 1993, to my knowledge, and back in the early 90s, the thing called the greenhouse effect or global warming already made headlines, and one of the creator of Awesome Possum wanted to make a video game that is also environmental friendly. Will teach all of the kids who's going to play this game to be, teach them about environmentalism. Okay, and around this time, you got Captain Planet, really, as a cartoon, right? And I like that show. Okay, teach me how to recycle, reuse, and all that jazz, right? And so they came out. So Tengen came out with Awesome Possum. Originally, the game was supposed to be Awesome Possum saves the environment, but corporate Tengen says maybe that's not a good idea marketing wise. Maybe the kids won't really buy this. So how about we call it something else? So eventually, the game was called Awesome Possum Kicks Dr. Machino's Butt. Okay, that's the whole title of it. The Sega Genesis and Mega Drive. The marketing department says that you really need to establish a certain antagonist for this main character, this mascot who's supposed to be fighting. That's why I said that. So that's why I said the point earlier when we mentioned Crash and Spyro. So here you're fighting Dr. Machino. Okay, Dr. Machino is basically the main antagonist of this game, trying to do illegal logging, polluting all the water, rivers, seas, and all that, deforestation. So Awesome Possum believes he's the man. He has to take it upon himself to defeat Dr. Machino. And at surface level, you would think this is a Sega clone. This is a Sonic clone.
Well, that's
right?
exactly what it's trying to be.
It's a Sonic clone right at the very antagonist as well. Dr. Machino, Dr. Eggman. He's using Eggman. Robotics using robots. Dr. Machino is also using robots. Okay, Dr. Machino is using like robots to do illegal logging, burning the rainforest, polluting the seas, polluting the rivers. Yeah. So, uh, I'll show you the so on the first so here so I'll show you the game during the first level. So so in the first level he's in a forest. He moves pretty fast as well, just like Sonic. There's some springs. There's some platforms. There's a lot of springs here that will really boost his speed. You can pretty much speed run this without fighting any enemies. You just hop on the enemies, and then they'll to defeat them. Sure, eventually you'll be able to you'll be able to ride this big ass mutated bees or wasp. um, just keep hovering all above them, keep jumping, keep moving around until you progress throughout the game. And I believe each game has three sub levels before you can go to the next stage. And every time you clear out a level or a stage, and this is why for some reason, so um, you'll get like a question about the environment. Like for example, how much oxygen percentage is there in the Earth's atmosphere that you breathe? So there's like multiple choice questions just like that about the environment, or what part of the Amazon rainforest can you find this, and that. So there are
That's cool.
yeah, there are educational questions, multiple multiple choice questions here. Press A, press B, press C, choose whatever, and if you get the answer right, you'll get like 10,000 points, and sometimes that will grant you a one up, or no, and I can tell that the marketing team didn't really bother anything else aside from the main title. So, like I mentioned earlier, the main title, the main art cover says "Awesome Possum kicks Dr. Machino's butt." During those transitions in between those levels, it says "Awesome Possum saves the environment." They didn't change that. They didn't take that out. So,
I mean,
so
speaking of oxygen, I think you've given this game too much oxygen. This is fucking
yeah,
like,
that's
this is
that's what I'm
fucking
saying.
shit.
And
Like, this game has never been released. Like, you know what? It didn't even have a PAL release. You know that. That's how shit it was.
it
Okay,
didn't get a PAL
Came out-
release.
Came out, yeah, it was American exclusive in Japan. We never got it in the European regions, and
Okay.
thank God for that. It's a
So-
saving grace. This game is an abomination, man. It should never. That is so shit. Like, I'll read you something. Yeah, this is what Hardcore Gamer. This is a 2006 feed. This is what they said. They condemned this game. Okay, this is what they said. There are bad games. There are terrible games. There are games so heinously appalling and horrendous that you want to gorge your eyes out with a spork after a few minutes of playtime. However, Tengen's Awesome Possum kicks Dr. Machino's butt, trumps them all.
All right.
With its crappy gameplay, muddy graphics, screeching music, awful sound effects, and preachy premise. He was heavily irritated by the annoying and narcissistic personality of the title character, particularly his screechy
All right.
wife,
So
and constantly
so-
reminding you how awesome and cool he is. So, and then also how horrific the control is. Like, it plays bad, it sounds bad. I mean, he doesn't shut the fuck up. He talks throughout the game.
he does not shut the fuck up. And, well, you have the option to mute him, of course, in the
You feel the
options if
opposite.
you
No,
wanted.
it's annoying. Like, what is this game? Like, why even pick this piece
Well,
of shit?
to answer that, because Tengen wanted to make sure it occupies all of the 16 megabit of the Mega Drive, so they had to fill all of that with speech,
No.
with a lot of voiceovers for Awesome Possum.
It's annoying.
He's annoying, but I think that's one of the. I think they wanted to add a little bit more personality with Awesome Possum, just to differentiate him away from Mario, away from Sonic.
Well, you say
And-
away from Sonic, but this was actually released in '93, and if you remember, in the full season of '93, there was no Sonic game. It actually filled that niche, and that's what it was. Because they have Sonic Spinball, which wasn't a proper Sonic game, so that's where they were trying to fill that niche, and they got away with it. But you know what? Like, this game is awful. I wouldn't recommend
What
it. I wouldn't
gave
game it.
this?
Don't even play this game. Just do yourself a favor. Don't do it.
So
And-
what gave this video game a little bit more accolade is because the lawsuit that it followed.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
apparently there was this guy
The lawsuit.
saying that.
Oh.
So this guy sued
Paul
Tengen.
Ginsky.
Yeah.
Origin.
Saying that I came up with Awesome Possum. All right.
Okay.
So
You
they
got correct.
sued Tengen for this, and the original creator of this game said that he came out with Awesome Possum back when he was in high school, like around early 80s. This is even before the other guy made a trademark patent of it. So um, so the judge says, well, there's nothing much similar in terms of the video game here, in terms of what you're claiming about your idea about Awesome Possum. And then the guy said, okay, how about the comic book that came out with the game? Because with that comic book, it is very similar to what my idea was about Awesome Possum, about saving the rainforest. And then the judge was like, no, nigga, no, it ain't. So at the very end, the judge had to side with Tengen. So they had to side with Tengen over this. So Tengen won the lawsuit, and the other guy didn't get anything. Okay,
Yeah.
because apparently he was trying to publish a book about Awesome Possum. He didn't get even that done because he lost the lawsuit that he filed.
Because Tenjin would have had the right, and now that they've won this case, and they would have counted if he had released a comic with their IP, and so he couldn't release the comic. But anyway, it's a piece of shit. Don't play it. Don't play it. Yeah, don't do it to yourself. So all the games here. This is what you play.
The whole expose was told a lot more in detail by checking out the YouTube channel of Norman, the gaming historian. So he made a full expose about Awesome Possum infamy. Okay, say what you will about the gameplay. If you're just more into the clutter, if you're just more into the nitty gritty backstory of Awesome Possum and and the messy lawsuit that they had to go through, watch Norman the gaming still there in.
It's like who's gonna watch who plays a game for the who plays this platform for the story? They're gonna play it because they want to have joy and they look at the graphics or whatever. There's no joy in this. Like, come on, man, it's shit. Nothing there. Crap. Who
Awesome
cares
Possum,
about the story? It's
I do
saying,
like how it teaches.
it's like saying it's like what you said to me the other day. Who watches pornography for the story? You know what I mean? Like, that sort of thing, you know what I mean? Like, who gives a shit about this? You know, it's crap.
No, it's a noble idea teaching about environmentalism, like Sir Harvey mentioned.
You go to school for that shit. You know what I mean? They teach you this shit in school. You don't need it in a video game. Even then, they taught us about this shit. And then people Captain Planet. All right, it was a big deal back then. Everyone knew. And biker mice from Mars. Everyone knew this shit. This is nothing new. It's not novel. It's not original. It's just fucking jumping on a bandwagon. And the gameplay.
These are okay. I would argue these are for those kids who are not paying attention in school.
With me, man. Just why are you defending this piece of shit? You know it's
These are for those kids who are not paying attention in school.
This is not redeemable.
Okay.
Here. This is absolutely. You know, we talk about the good, the bad, and ugly. This is the ugly. This is the unsavable in this episode. All right.
Okay.
I'm surprised you brought this to the table.
I would argue if Sir Joel was here, out of all of those memes, all of those links that he's sharing with us about those bimbos who don't even know the basic answers to life's questions, right? This game, this game is for those idiots. Okay.
But those idiots aren't like those idiots. Like, don't even. This is
those idiot girls who don't pay attention in school. They should play this at least.
I think that they're putting it on in the whatever podcast. I think they just put on this stupidity just to get clicks.
Yeah, I kind of feel that. Yeah.
Nobody's that stupid. Anyway, should we move on?
Yeah, they are that stupid.
Oh,
You'd be surprised.
The world is a dark place.
Anyways, how about Miss I? Miss I, any opinions about Awesome Possum gameplay or history, whatever?
Oxygen. Let's just make this quick. I just want to move on to this part.
Go, Miss I.
Doesn't like it because it's not green.
I honestly don't know what to say about this game.
It's a piece of shit. Even your game's better than this, Miss I, and yours is on DOS. You know, your DOS has more right to be on the Mega Drive than this piece of shit. tell you that now. Jazz Jack Rabbit is better than Awesome Opossum.
No. Let's hear her opinion first. Go.
I have no opinion.
Sarah Rafi, go.
So,
Up, mute.
I-
There you go.
I like the fact that they teach in the game, albeit it's not a lot, but I do like that when a game can kind of teach whatever it is that they're trying to teach. Secondly, I do like the name Awesome Possum. Come on, you have to agree, Severage. That's a cool name, Awesome Possum.
Jazz Jack Rabbit sounds better. Yeah. Jazz Jack
Jeez, Jack Rabbit. Am I right?
Jazz Jack Rabbit. You know what I mean? Whereas Awesome Possum, man, who gives a shit about this shit? I mean, no one cares about it.
And thirdly, like looking at the gameplay, there was one moment where he was riding, was it a rhino or a hippo? That looked pretty cool. So yeah, I think
Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong rode a dino in Donkey Kong Country. You know what I mean? What the fuck? Don't try and save this piece of shit. Don't be like him. Don't defend this piece of shit. Yeah. All right. This game is so bad in how it plays. You know it plays badly. You know the character sprite is bad. If you play this game, you know it's rubbish. That's why I say don't play it. It is so janky.
even Barona Royko agrees with me. He says Awesome Possum rhymes better.
Listen. The title is narcissistic as the character, man. And seriously, the only time I played it, I did put it down. Never gonna pick this piece of shit up again. No, I mean,
Fair enough.
bad. It's one of the worst.
All right,
games
so JDM. Thoughts, or JDM, go.
Yeah,
I
be
didn't
careful what you
really
say
know
now,
about
Julian. Be careful now, yeah? Don't even
in-
fucking compliment this, all right? Don't even try and defend this shit.
No wonder why Sergio was pushing the edutainment video game because of this game, and I don't think I would like this game because it teaches something that you could like what
They teach
Viraj
this
said.
in school. They teach school. Like, there's Math Blaster, Volume 1, yeah? There's Magic School Bus on Mega Drive if you really want to get taught something. Yeah, there's
Yes.
Richard Scarry's Busy Town if you want to learn something.
Magic
This
School
Imagine
Bus.
if you would just like to play a platforming. Oh, I want this game. I want to play this game. Then all of a sudden, it's going
It's a
to.
broken game. It's a broken game. Sorry, but you can't play it. It's unplayable.
It has a quiz in between the levels.
But you
I
get lives if you
always
answer it
went
right, I
to
think.
school
Yeah.
All right. So basically, Tengen's failed mascot, guys. Just like the topic supposedly. 90s giving mascots the winners and the losers. I'm
Well,
showing you guys the
big-
losers. Okay,
big-
I'm showing you the losers, the lesser known. All
We've had
right,
two
that's
big
all
losers.
I'm doing. Okay,
Oh.
say what you will about the gameplay. That's all I'm doing. I'm just giving a little bit more focus on the lesser known and the loser mascots.
This didn't even need to be known. This game should have fucking been buried into obscurity. Why are you promoting this piece of shit? Nobody needs to even know about this.
Because I'm just following what's supposed to be done in this episode. We're showing the
what
winners and the losers. I'm
Oh,
showing you
right.
guys the losers.
Nobody
Sue
wanted to
me.
know about this game.
Sue me. Sue me.
No, 'cause I'd
just
lose
like
the case.
Tengen, just like
I'd lose
Tengen
the
get
case.
sue me.
I'd lose the
Sue
court
me.
case.
All right. So you want So you guys want to finish up with winners? Okay, let's go with winners.
All right, I
So
don't know
Viraj,
if this is
go.
a winner per se, but this is a good game. Yeah, this is the final game we talk about. Again, a Mega Drive Genesis game. It came out the same year as this thing, an anthropomorphic character. This is how it's done properly, guys. Konami made this. The game I'm talking about, or the game series, is Rocket Knight Adventures or Sparkster. Okay,
Which is
Now,
also a possum.
okay,
Which is also a possum.
which is also a possum. Yeah, it's the same animal. It's the same animal. This is the true awesome possum. All right. Sparkstar, Rocket Knight Adventures, 1993 Sega. So I had this game. All right, love this game, and my father got it for my Mega Drive. It's beautiful. Like, as soon as you boot it up, you obviously got a different range of difficulties. And I always go into control options because Konami did this thing where they made B as jump and C as the attack on the Mega Drive controller. But the C button has to be jump and the B has to be attack. So I used to always have to change it. But yeah, there you go. There it is. It's quite a famous game for Mega Drive. I'm sure you've all heard of it. A travesty, it never came out on either of the Mega Drive mini systems as part of the compilation. Outstanding music, outstanding graphics, a nice big character sprite.
Rocket Knight doesn't even rhyme.
He doesn't run, but he can fly. He can boost. So basically, the mechanics
Unlike Awesome Possum, that rhymes.
All right. So basically,
Yes.
there's the kingdom. It's been attacked by the evil dark Rocket Knight called Axel Gear, and he kidnaps the princess for the kingdom of Devatindos, which is basically the kingdom where the pigs come from, right? So Sparkstar has the sort of, he ain't having this. He's going to go and get the princess, basically, and then see what's going on, right? So basically, you start off in like a green woodland sort of, well, a green level, and then you sort of venture on to your journey to save the princess. And you have a sub boss, like this is the sub boss at the end of the first level, and you get like a main boss at the end of the stage as well. It's very arcadey in how it plays. You've got stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, or whatever. So again, this is stage 1. Again, so many different music. This is my favorite soundtrack in the game. That the first little flying bit. It's such a nice, serene instrumentation here that you got here. So you got like this, like sort of, you jetpack and you're shooting the bad guy levels as well in here, which is fun. But yeah, very, very detailed level design. Yeah, this is outstanding for 1993. Look at that parallax scrolling in the background. Beautiful. The sound effects on point. So yeah, top marks all around in terms of graphics, gameplay as well, because it's tight gameplay and sound design. They did an outstanding job. Okay, 1993, Konami put out this built-up amazing game. Then after this game, they brought out a sequel that came out on both Super Nintendo and Mega Drive. So it's called Sparks, the Rocket Knight Adventures 2 on Mega Drive, and this is called Sparkstar on Super Nintendo. And they're both two very different games done in Konami fashion. They make one game different on the Mega Drive and one game different on the Super Nintendo. So the sequels were two different on the Mega Drive and Super Nintendo. So so basically there's 3 games in the series. Not as, in my opinion, as good as the first game. Not as good as the first game, but still solid entries of the franchise in my view. Definitely has its own challenges. But it is a step down noticeably. I don't know why Konami went with the idea of having a smaller character sprite in the second game. However, the first game, outstanding, beautiful game. It's a shame that the series didn't continue in the 3D realm. They did make a game just simply called Rocket Knight on Xbox, and it's like a downloadable game. I've seen it played. I've not played it, so I don't know if it's any good or not. It does look good, but I don't expect it. Like from what I've seen, it's got the originals on Super Nintendo and Mega Drive. And they have done a Sparks to Reignited trilogy as well on Nintendo Switch. I think Limited Run Game did a physical for that. I'm not too sure, but you can download it on eShop for Nintendo Switch or the other platforms as well, like PlayStation as well. I'm sure it's available on that. So another way to play this very modern way to play this very, very good classic game series. But there's nothing more I can say. The game, you can just look at it; it speaks for itself. I mean, look at that. And that thing in the window going up and down, that's the boss. It's like you got this little Easter egg telling you the boss. This is the first boss, and he's going to come at you, and you got to get him. And then I don't know how many hits it takes, but you got to take him out. And he's going to come through the wall on that side, and you go come through the wall on that side. And this is where it gets really crazy. Imagine if you're a 7-year-old trying to play this game, you're wondering what the hell. And he got all these bugs coming down. Look at that. You got to jump over the bugs. Oh my god, how much? Where do I hit him? And I've got to jump over that, and then I've got to jump over that, and then the red little device comes down, and you're wondering what is this thing? After you jumped over enough, you sort of robot. Anyways, you hit the red one, you got to hit the red one. It blows the whole room, and then you have to kill him. Yeah, that's it. Keep going there. What I like to do is press the B button, hold it, and then what it does is it charges your jetpack, which you can see up there in the top heads-up display. And then when you release it, you can go flying. That's what I used to like doing, and that would be a much more powerful attack than just use my normal sword, which shoots out little fiery loops. But yeah, the different settings really affect how Sparks takes damage. I think in easy mode he loses half a heart, whereas if it's on hard mode you lose 2 hearts, so a lot more damage you'll get with it. But yeah, it's the first level done. Outstanding. Anyway, what do you guys think of this game? I'm sure you've played this game. You've all played this game, surely.
That looks really cool.
Yeah. Have you played this?
Baruno Roca says it kind of reminds him of like Mega Man. Where is it? He says it looks like Mega Man, but
it is effectively like Mega Man. Like this is like This plays a lot. This is a lot more fun and accessible than Mega Man. A lot more kinetic than Mega Man. A lot more energy. A lot more movement in this game. Again, you can boost. You can shoot in different. You can fly in different directions, and then you fall again. Again, you've got these little animated cutscenes for every level. Like, okay, so Axel is taking the princess. He's gone to the pig ship, and then you have to continue an adventure. And continue throughout the land, and you get into more industrial settings. You can get, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's like some Star Wars like caveats. There's like a pig star at the end, and you go into space. Cool. It's crazy. It goes all over the place. Like, you guys need to play this game. Like, like I said, Earthworm Jim's a game you need to play before you die. This is in my top 10 Sega Mega Drive games. So you definitely play. This is my favorite Konami game. And everyone goes about Castlevania Bloodlines. Yeah, great. Yeah, great.
Konami.
Yeah, but this game, you got to play Rocket Knight Adventures. You got to play Rocket Knight Adventures. Anyway.
Bruno Roca asked, "Is this Capcom?" But I think it's Konami, right?
Konami. So, interesting point about Capcom. Capcom were hand in glove with Nintendo at this time. There weren't much Capcom releases on Mega Drive, sadly. Konami, though, they were like Sega's, I would say, after EA, their next big like premier third-party developer. And the stuff that Konami would put out, like this Castlevania Bloodlines, Contra Hardcore, gold, all solid gold titles. Sunset Riders, even though it's his own thing and not as true to the arcade, it was his own game on the Mega Drive. Another great Konami title. So have a look at Konami games on Mega Drive, because they're definitely great games. And this is an exclusive on Mega Drive, Rocket Knight Adventures. This game stands out and it stands tall. And it's definitely worth playing with the special effects and what it's got. So definitely. 1993. It's getting out in 1993. The lettering is a little different to Mega Man. I mean, I can understand the similarities, but it's definitely Konami. And if you listen to the sound effect, you'll know, okay, this is a Konami game. And then when you press the pause, it's got that synonymous pause sound that Konami game does. So, yes.
It looks good, but my only complaint is the bar on the top.
The heads-up display.
Yeah, it's that.
Yeah, it's a bit big.
In Mega Man, you have it overlaid on the top left side. I think the level design look claustrophobic because of that heads-up display.
Listen, you play on a big JDM. If you get a big TV, you play on a big TV, it won't matter. There, problem solved. All right, play on a big TV, you got no problems, in it. You see everything.
This looks okay on a CRT. Like it was supposed to. It was supposed to be played on CRT.
Even what I'll say is, because we're looking
4.3 aspect ratio.
Because we're looking on a little screen like this, like we can't really see, we can't really tell the scale of it. But trust me when I say, there's enough space for you to game on.
Maybe it followed suit the to the what they call this Shinobi series, where they have the heads-up display as well on the top.
Yeah, I think that's synonymous with a lot of games of the time, to be honest. But definitely, what you realize is with Mega Drive, because it had a bigger resolution than Super Nintendo, that's what a lot of people forget. There's a bigger output resolution, so there's actually a lot more you can see on the screen. With Nintendo, there's a lot more cropped. So actually, there's a lot more gameplay space than it looks like, but it's that way, not that way. But it's still good enough with the way the level design is made. You don't need it to be there. As you can see, look, he's dodging all these spikes. You got enough that you can see on the top half of the screen to navigate through this section. So it doesn't harm the gameplay. There we go. Look, we got Choo Choo Train. The boss on this level is a Choo Choo Train.
Oh, that's cool.
You know what I mean? You'll see him at the end. Anyway.
Trolley or...
Does it teach you about the environment?
I'm
just asking for a friend.
No, it doesn't. No.
He
could not give a rat's ass about the environment.
Rock off, man. No, nobody does. Look at the American.
He only cares about getting some ass from the princess.
Yeah, listen, man. Listen. The princess gives you some magic powers. Yeah, like you'll see when you get to that bit, when you save her. But you have to save her. But what I love is how he traverses through one section to another section, and then he goes to a cave section, and then he goes into the airship, and then he goes into Pig City, where the game becomes more and more industrialized. So that's what I find really interesting. This the change of like, okay,
the more you industrialize a place, the more pollutants are there in the atmosphere. He uses a lot of carbon-based emissions coming from his rocket. This ain't nothing like Awesome Possum. This is the anti-Awesome Possum. This is against the environment on all levels. So am I right, Sir RV?
I think it teaches you. It also teaches that pigs are dirty. because pigs are the people polluting this world. You know what I mean? If you go to Pig City, you see all the pollution clouds when you get there. So this is what teaches you: pigs are dirty animals. So there's the level of pollution that we got here. Yeah, it tells you that a pig's carbon footprint is higher than anything else. All right, so
Rocket Knight is the eco villain.
He's the eco villain, right?
Eco villain.
He's not that much of an eco villain. There are more polluting characters out there. But listen, this is a pre-industrial
He is
age.
no Planeteer, that's for sure.
Pre-industrial
Captain
age.
Planet, he's a hero.
Gonna take pollution down to
Down
zero.
to zero.
There's 5 of us. We could do during poos.
I want to be Heart.
There's the choo-choo train.
Be hard.
There's the choo-choo train. So
And he suplex the train.
the boss levels are quite innovative. So look, it's the boss, right? So you got to dodge the
I
bullet.
would be Linka because I'm pretty. I'm so pretty. I choose wind. I am Linka, okay?
So you can see he's going for the boss. He's going for the boss. He's taking him out. And you think when you think it's over, it's not. That's what I like about these boss battles. Some of them, there's a little bit of a twist in them, and there's another second stage to it, which I think is pretty cool.
Look at the enemy. He's much more eco-friendly because there's no emission coming out.
There's
of
no
the-
carbon emissions. There's no steam. There's no
There is a
smoke.
mission.
But Rocket, he has the rocket propeller. On his
He moves himself, right? He doesn't use charcoal. He moves himself. He's like this his disabled train. He's doing his own wheelchair kind of thing. He's pushing
I love
himself forward.
So can you see like how the
All
hands
mechanical
are-
energy right there.
You have
Eco
another-
friendly.
So you have this other thing, and then the hands are coming for you. So you got another stage to this boss here. That's clever. That's amazing design and game design. I mean, this is outstanding. This is what I like about this game. There's always something different that it throws at you. And yes, you have a different challenge as well. And you will die on this game. Make no mistake. Even on easy, I think the American ROM, it says children mode, actually, in the difficulty section. And I'll tell you what, there's no shame in playing that mode because you are going to die. Because if you don't know the level design, know how the boss is going to come at you, you will die. But what I will say is, if you play hard mode, there's an extended bit on the last boss at the end. So you're getting the full game. There's an extended level, a little bit of an extended level on hard mode that you don't get on the previous section. And this is obviously the last stage of the boss. He's throwing blue balls at you. And you got to take him out on the second boss. But yeah.
Sorry, what do you think?
I would say before even Sir Viraj mentioned it was by Konami, I kind of felt some Contra vibes with the level design and some of the enemies.
Yeah.
Right there. And also a bit
Yeah.
of Metal Slug with the
Metal stuff, yeah.
You'll notice that the color assets and some of the sound assets that they've used in this game match that of Contra and Castlevania Bloodlines. So Castlevania Bloodlines, this and Contra were in development roughly around the same time. So you see that they've all borrowed assets from each other. So who borrowed what from who, I don't know. It's the same company. And Sunset Riders too. And Sunset Riders as well. So you'll notice that similar color schemes, assets, little things that are similar. But it is ultimately a different game in how it plays. And the mechanic is very different. Look at this. Look, it's got a reflection of you there. See that reflection? This is the first time as a kid I remember playing this game. And like, obviously, you got to jump here, and then you jump there, and then you got to like.
Is that lava?
Yeah, it's lava. Yeah,
supposedly,
the floor
yeah.
is lava. Look, and look, you got this bit here. And you can only jump, and you can only see the next platforms. Unless obviously this guy's played it speed running it, but you know the lava sort of indicates where the platforms are above you, which you couldn't see before. So yeah, again, very clever game design. That's what I really love this game. You know, every level is different. They have its own little challenge. You know. Look, you got robot piranha fishes you got to smash up. You know, what game has something like that? You know, it's crazy. Again,
This is what you get when you don't take care of the environment, kids. The lava will be so erratic.
But yeah, this is one that I listen. This is a game you guys need to play. I'm surprised that none of you have actually played this game. You know, actually, am I being serious when I say none of you have played this game?
Because it doesn't teach us about the environment.
Fuck your environment, yeah. I'm surprised Sir Dan.
Environment.
I'm shocked, yeah. I'll be honest, yeah. I'm shocked Sir Dan when he was running with things with you guys when he was on the podcast live. He never even mentioned this game. We didn't even hear about this game on Mega Drive, and you guys haven't played it. This is like put down what you're playing. Play this game. You gotta play it. You'll enjoy it. I promise you won't regret it. Even you, Sergio. I know you're not into this sort of style of game, but you will have so much fun playing it. Honestly, it's so much fun. And like you're like, oh, what happens next? It's so much joy. This game, it's just pure joy.
Even the crab thing is environmental friendly because it's not emitting, and there's no sludge coming out of its back.
No sludge.
Well, you can't see it. It's off screen.
No oil spill.
Listen, man, you got to take out the pigs. They're making a mess of the kingdom. Yeah, they're dirty. Yeah, so you got
A very clean pig.
Look, pigs are filthy animals, man. That's why
this pig does not mind going underwater. He likes the water. He's a very clean pig. Because why? The environment.
That's the first mini boss of the third stage, and then the last boss is like some sort of pig. But so it's like a pig. It's a pig in a mechanical fish. It's weird.
Oh, wow.
But there's always something new in this. Always something new. Like this thing. You don't want to get crushed, so you got to duck. So again, so much fun, so much attention to detail on
Is
every
this the
level.
Star Wars thing you're mentioning, Sir Vraj?
Star Wars.
What the AT&T Walker?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got all these sort of mechanical aspects to this game as well, which is pretty cool. Anyway, pretty fun. So yeah, those of you listening who haven't played this game on Mega Drive, put it number 1 on your list. Honestly, it's like the best Konami game on the system in my view. Okay, I'm not even
Rocket Knight Adventures for the Sega Mega Drive, guys.
Wow, I'm
top
there
of
you go.
Next,
I'm
Earthworm
shocked.
Jim,
I am
Just
shocked.
Jackrabbit.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I said, in terms of the franchise, it's a shame it never made the leap to 3D. I think Konami wanted to focus on other franchises that were much more lucrative than this and the outing it had. And I think they realized there were so many platforms it was competing against. How could it really compete? Again, obviously, we saw an indie game called Rocket Knight that we saw. We've seen this being repackaged as a trilogy. I would love to see another Rocket Knight Adventures game again. However, Konami, let's be honest here, they're not making much in terms of their old IPs. I think there's a new Castlevania game coming out on Switch that's just been announced. It's been so long since the last one. Saw that one, yeah, new Castlevania game. I forgot what it was called. But this Rocket Knight, I think it's a dead franchise. Sad. I think they just didn't continue with it in the 3D realm, and I think that's the end of it. But it's a game that exists. I'm just happy that it happened. And it still exists, and there's nothing taking that away with it. Definitely like one of the best, a great game, but still a loser in terms of like a mascot platform, because we never saw it continue on into beyond the 2000s onwards. I think the only one that's really successful is Spyro. Why are you laughing? Is there a comment that someone's made that's funny?
Environment rating 0.
Love pigs and greed. Okay, fair enough. Okay, right.
Anyways, all right, guys. That's the show. So gaming mascots part 2. Okay, the winners and the losers. We got you some notable ones, and we also showed you the bottom of the barrel. Okay, so
you did. You did that. Don't say we. You did. All these other games have merits, even though they weren't winners. You gave us a fucking dub.
Okay. So back in our group chat, I said, okay, I'm doing Awesome Possum. He knows it. He didn't bother mentioning anything about, don't do that game because it's a bad thing.
Pick something proper.
Okay. He said winners and losers. He was very specific. The ones who are more notable ones and the lesser ones. I chose the lesser one. I chose one of the bottom of the barrel. Now he's angry. Nothing pleases this.
I didn't think it was that crazy, but now I know you're crazy, man. You wear a wife beater and a cap on a podcast.
No.
That's how crazy you are. You know what I mean? That's it. This is it, man. Now I'll remember. If you're being serious when I think you're joking, so I have to pull you up next time we do anything. Putting that piece of shit game here. Giving it airtime. Goodness me. Don't play Awesome Possum. Play Rocket Knight. That's the one. Rocket Knight Adventures. Sega Mega Drive 1993 Konami. Classic.
Right. So RP, where can they awesome your possum?
Yes, you can catch me on my YouTube channel, Retro Vibes, or you'll be catching me also with the team Saturday Smart Talk team next week, where we'll be doing a tier list for the WrestleMania 42 matches. Thank you for watching.
Has it been a month already? Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. How about Sir JDM? Where can they earthworm your gym?
You can you can gex the gecko, my gecko. In Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. 123 Go Retro, and I think I played uh, Blasto a couple of months ago. So just tune in. Maybe I could play Rocket Knight or Awesome Possum in one of my streams.
Not
So see
no,
there.
no, 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 no. Rocket
Awesome
Knight.
Possum.
Don't even mention Awesome. Don't piss me off with that game, yeah? Rocket Knight, that's the one. That's a good boy. And that's it, son.
All right. Thank you for that, Sir JDM. And how about Miss I? Where can they jazz your jackrabbit? Ew.
They can just Jackrabbit on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. And also, I would like to point out that most of the games we talked about tonight are found on both the GOG and Steam. So go look for them if you're interested. Well,
Would you like to save? Would you like to save the environment, Miss I?
Yes, Captain Planet. He's the hero.
There you go. There you go. She's water. All right, and of course the one, the captain of the show for tonight, Zavaraj. Go.
All right.
Where can they rocket your adventure?
Well, you can spy on my dragon. All right. on the Sega, see, that's it. On the Sega Genesis group on Facebook. That's what I loiter about, and on this very podcast whenever I can get around to being on it. So I'll probably be on some of the future episodes in the future. And you can find me on Bygone Games UK on Twitter or X if you want to see my new pickups that I get, because I buy and sell handheld video games. Anyway, yeah, good stuff. Back to you, Sir Joe.
All right, thank you for that, Sir Viraj, and everybody. And a special shout out to one of our regulars, Barona Royka. Thank you for keeping the chat alive.
Yeah, thank
Yes.
you. Thank you.
We really need to
Appreciate it.
invite you in the show.
Appreciate it.
Actually, I keep asking you guys, like, I mean, how active is he? I mean, is he? I mean, Sir Gummy, are you okay to join us in one of our episodes? Because I keep asking before, and this guy says I'm not sure if it's gonna be, available on cam for this kind of thing.
Yeah,
But
I
anyway, we
remember
would
him-
like to have Barona Royka in the show at
Yes, I
least
remember-
once.
I remember him streaming this month, which is a shock because it's a
Doesn't show his
surprise.
face a lot.
I didn't know that he's going to stream.
Right?
Just
Actually rated one of the streams.
Just as long as he's not wearing your cap and the wife beater, yeah, wears something, his own little distinct uniform, yeah, then we know, because we don't get you all confused up, man.
Hey,
I mean,
for all I know, Barona Royka is a honorary planeteer. All right.
could be.
Honorary planeteers right here. All right, that's the show, guys. Thank you all so much. And of course,
Thank you.
also a special mention to Mommy Jane. Mommy Jane, hey. Thank you so much for
we
watching as
saw you
well.
earlier. Thank you for joining us and saying hello. All right.
That's it, guys. And as always, our games and our budgets may grow out of date, but our gaming experiences will forever remain. Hey, Hamlush.
All right.
Don't forget to play your environment. Environmental friendly. Awesome possum.
No.